stream so I can like ping and whatever. Yeah, it will come up in about 5 seconds, maybe. Come on, YouTube. Got 2 minutes in it. Yeah, here we go. Right, okay. We don't need to rush because we got about 2 minutes of... Wait a minute, it's live. It's live. They can hear my voice and stuff. Good evening and welcome to RTE. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am your host, of course, Dean Heathcote, or Dean O'Connor, whichever you prefer. People still call me the first name. Don't know why, really. I prefer the new one. But anyway, welcome to our RTE NewsNow broadcast for this evening. Tonight, we will be watching the proceedings for the no confidence vote, or the vote of confidence, in the Taoiseach Diarmuid O'Donovan. That has been tabled, of course, by the Social Democrats and the Labour Party, namely the Social Democrat leader Michael McGrath and the Labour Party leader Dylan Hill O20. Notably, the Labour leader that has been removed in his own internal vote of confidence within his own party. But we'll get into more of that later on. As you'll see on your screens, the Dáil is currently sitting for about an hour up until 9, which will be the cap. By which, of course, they're going to start voting after that. They'll be debating the motion of confidence, debating whether or not the Taoiseach is fit to lead Ireland for the remaining 3 weeks of this term. After which, once we hit 9 o'clock, voting will start. Voting is expected to go on for maybe 30 minutes or so. Most TDs vote within that period of time. Even if they're not in the chamber or if they're absent or busy doing something, all they have to do is message the Cian Cumla after the period, once the period begins. All of that will be covered this evening right here on RTE News Now, as it is something we do as Ireland's foremost public broadcaster. Now, you're probably wondering, why has this vote of confidence been tabled in the first place? Why are we here? Well, for that, we got a statement from both the Social Democrat leader, Michael McGrath, who is the main person who has tabled this vote of confidence, as well as his second, the leader of the Labour Party, Dylan Hello 20. We have gotten both of their statements here. Of course, he's here speaking in the chamber right now, presenting the vote of confidence. Of course, we're going to be listening to what he has to say here before we go and see what he's told us here at RTE in person, or rather by text, as if we do things in person anymore after the pandemic. But we will go to his personal statement to us shortly afterwards. A little bit of a mention here. Once again, we will go to his statement to RTE after his initial speech here. It is expected that the Taoiseach will defend himself after Michael McGrath has given his piece, his justification for why this vote of confidence has been tabled. Again, as I'm speaking right now, he is, of course, going through the reasons as to why he's presented this vote of confidence in the Taoiseach. One thing that should be noted for especially international viewers or people not familiar with Irish politics or people who are new to this community, it is not uncommon for a Taoiseach to face a vote of confidence within their term. There's definitely the risk of it. Every single term, whenever a Taoiseach's in a scandal, whenever there's a resignation, whenever there's a party rebellion, there is the risk, the very tiny risk that the opposition may table a vote of confidence and topple the Taoiseach. And that is something that certainly every Taoiseach will go through at some point in their careers, or at least especially returning Taoiseach such as Tom Whitaker, Killian Whitaker, and others. Michael McGrath, of course, is he's a former Taoiseach himself, leader of the Social Democrats, now former leader of Sinn Féin, and I believe he himself is, and I will definitely be corrected on this by a viewer at some point, I believe he has faced his own vote of confidence in the past. A controversial Taoiseach in his own right. Definitely was facing a lot of opposition from the Labour Party at the time, led by people such as Tom Whitaker, Valorist. I believe Killian Whitaker was associated with Labour at that point, although I may be wrong. But that sort of group of individuals, we just call them the Whitakers, were definitely massive opponents of McGrath at the time and gave him a lot of trouble. And now he's going to be giving the current Taoiseach, Diarmuid O'Donovan, leader of Fianna Fáil, a lot of trouble himself. The apple does not fall far from the tree, I suppose. But again, he is here in the Dáil giving his statements here, believing that the Taoiseach is not fit to govern. And reading just a brief excerpt from his comments to RTE earlier, something, again, he referenced in his speech here, saying that the performance of this government has been terrible, that they've done very little in the way of completing their policy, that Dáil attendance has gone to shreds, saying that Diarmuid seems to think that a brute force approach is the way to pass legislation, as opposed to acknowledging and refining areas of criticism. And talking a bit more about that, there has been a lot of criticism levelled against the Taoiseach during sessions of the Dáil for trying to shove legislation through the Dáil when he does not have the numbers on his government benches against an opposition which apparently attends a lot of sessions and shoot down a lot of his legislation. We are certain to probably get a comment from the Taoiseach at some point. Of course, he will have the chance to defend and set the record straight in this session. After all, his government is fighting for its life tonight. But talking a bit more about Michael McGrath's statement here that he gave to us, he did also tell us that while Diarmuid had been reasonably respectful in the Dáil, his performance-wise, his tenure has been incredibly poor. His cabinet has weighed him down. He's unable to establish a productive working relationship with any of his ministerial colleagues. Ultimately, it's clear that Diarmuid and many members of his cabinet aren't fit to serve the people of Ireland. Definitely a scathing statement, again, from the leader of the Social Democrats here about the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael coalition government. A lot of eyes are certain to fall on... we've got Diarmuid speaking here now, actually. We will see what he's got to say. We've not personally had a comment from him, and that's because, well, one, I didn't message him and get a comment, mostly because he's going to be here tonight, and will, of course, as we're seeing right now, defending his record as Taoiseach. Going over a few things that he has just sat back down now here. Don't know whether or not has he been called to order? No, there has not been a call to order. There is a Facilio here who has stood as a point of order. Facilio Quinley, of course, being the chairman of the Social Democrats, a controversial figure in his own right, certainly someone who has had many brawls, both in private and in public, with political opponents, and with just many members of the Irish community and Irish society. But we are going to see what his point of order here is now. If we've learned anything from point of orders, this is going to be a mention of communist tyrants in his speech here, saying that mentions communist tyrants. Apparently, the Taoiseach has mentioned that at some point. I did not personally see that, but then again, I wear a monocle, so one of my eyes is not exactly working at 100%. We do have a mention here of the president. The president cannot even contain himself from interrupting the Dáil, so much for being a member of the Oireachtas. What, the president? Hold on. Okay, all right. We've got a mention of the president here in the Dáil. Not something you see very often. The president is only usually mentioned during special sittings of the Oireachtas or of the Dáil or the Seanad. President's name is usually kept out of the Dáil, I believe. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's a tradition thing. Sadly, from where I come from, there's no such thing as tradition in our parliament anymore. I think that goes for a lot of nations and or countries. But yes, again, a point of order here from Facilio requesting evidence for the claim that apparently, I think the Social Democrats had communist tyrants or something, or that Ireland had communist tyrants, one of the two. I'm sure the people viewing this are much more attentive than I personally am, and probably certainly sick of my ongoing commentary on the situation. Sadly, Jeremy is on his government-mandated holiday, so you're stuck with me for the evening. We do have the Dáil, again, being called to order here. One thing that actually can be noted, and so one thing we're going to mention throughout this broadcast, is that the Ceann Comhairle has changed. It is no longer Lynette Ní Chafféin. It is now Ciara O'Kearney, who has taken over the position of presiding officer over the Dáil Éireann. A returning figure, someone who has served in the position, I believe, twice before. Again, a returning figure, former Taoiseach, certainly an Irish political veteran in her own right, is, of course, presiding over this chamber. Lynette has, of course, got on to join the Labour Party and is currently running for Labour Party leader, which we'll talk a little bit about later on in this broadcast when the debate probably simmers down a little bit. It's irrelevant to the current vote of confidence going on right now. We do again have more comments here about about communism for some particular reason. I'm not going to say that I'm alien to communism in any right. After all, I led the UK Labour Party, but we do see again mentions of political ideologies, and as the Ceann Comhairle has just said there, completely irrelevant to the discussion at hand. We do appear to have Just Stop Oil protesters actually that have gathered at the Dáil. It appears on the topic of communists, I suppose. We do have the far left Marxist Antifa supporting Just Stop Oil, attempting to disrupt this orderly chamber of ours in our glorious Republic of Ireland. Of course, very terrible scenes. Just someone please check, make sure they don't have bags of orange confetti on them. Just please. After what they did at George Osborne's wedding, can we just not have a repeat of that, please? There we go. But anyway, focusing back on the Dáil here and ignoring those Marxist swine up in the galleries, we do have the Taoiseach here again making his remarks. on this, saying the island is far stronger than when we are divided, or the island is far stronger when we are not divided. I don't speak English, if you couldn't tell. At least apparently I don't. But yes, again, the Taoiseach making his remarks there. We have actually been handed, and we won't display this on the screen, but just some statistics in regards to attendance figures in the Dáil across this term. I believe this is for the Oireachtas. No, this is for the Dáil specifically. I will read these out just so people are aware, but the average attendance of members of the Dáil stands at 55.45%, so we can round that to about 55%. The government attendance stands at about 59.85%, so 60%. And the opposition's attendance stands at 62.5% across the term so far. Of course, there are 3 weeks left to go, but if this vote of confidence goes a certain way, there might not be a rest of the term to think about. But yeah, a 2% difference there in the government's attendance with the opposition here. And they both have very similar numbers. I believe they pretty much have nearly the same seat count, the opposition and the government benches. So certainly interesting statistics there. The opposition having a 2% lead there across the entire term in terms of attendance. Not exactly something dramatic, though. So I guess RTÉ withdraws its prior claims earlier about the government lacking attendance at some sessions. We'll wait for further evidence and analysis before we can make such bold claims in the public discourse ever again. See, no one can say I'm biased. No one can say I'm biased. But once again, the Taoiseach is here, of course, speaking again. We are, of course, 15 minutes into the debate here, or the debate portion of this motion of confidence. One thing that must, of course, be said is that there is another 45 minutes to go until we reach the cap of 9 o'clock before voting will start at that point onwards. We have got some more comments here, actually, from one of our friendly Irish media companies, Sauri. I'm so sorry, Dayuki. I am so sorry. Who have told us that Taoiseach Diarmuid O'Donovan has accused Michael McGrath of being unable to stop communist tyrants of being in his proposed cabinet, obviously referring to TD Facilio Quinley, who obviously stood earlier and presented a point of order. We do have the Taoiseach here, Eggman. Of course, James Aikson speaking here, but he seems to, of course, have sent a proxy. It appears that Irish Eggman has filled in for him this evening. But it is expected that Diarmuid's coalition partner here, leader of Fine Gael, James Aikson, a former Taoiseach, once again, many former Taoiseach in the chamber this evening, probably going to stand by the government that he is part of. Would certainly be a surprise if he suddenly changed sides. That would be very weird and not seen very often, I would say. Okay, I believe we've had a brief technical problem there, but we'll continue regardless. But of course, Taoiseach James Aikson is expected to support the government that he's a part of as the government's deputy head, essentially the deputy head of government. One thing that we will note while we are here at the studio, we have received a few comments from political figures in Ireland, and I will go through those right now. I would just like to quickly correct myself earlier that it's pronounced Saoirse, the news company I was trying to name, so I do apologise to Dayuki once again for not being able to pronounce Irish words. Forgive me, I'm not native. We do have, again, some comments here from leader of Sinn Féin, Potato Cure, who has told us that he has been outrageously removed from the Dáil for admin abuse. What a scam. And the Taoiseach and one of his senior ministers used the banned word communist and aren't asked to withdraw the comments. Quite some stirred comments there from the leader of Sinn Féin, Potato Cure. Now, as for the admin abuse thing, I skill issue, but also, again, very strong comments there from the leader of Sinn Féin, again, a member of the opposition this evening. If he can hear us, I would just like to ask him how he's going to be voting this evening, and hopefully he will get back to us and tell us how Sinn Féin will be voting this evening. We do have our coverage of the Dáil back here. Once again, apologies for that brief blip in our coverage. We do have Facilio Quinley here standing up, potentially a point of order, although I'm not going to immediately claim it's one, but we all know why I'm saying it. But we do have him here once again to give a few comments to the Dáil. Just a reminder of who Facilio Quinley is, chairman of the Social Democrats, a controversial figure in his own right within the Irish community, someone who has definitely been on the receiving end of some very nasty comments, and someone who has definitely dished out a few punches of his own, and certainly a divisive figure in Irish political discourse, giving us a little bit of a comment of his own here. I wish my eyesight was so much better, because then I would be able to probably see more of what he's saying, but he is a very tiny, fat little man, much like Kim Jong-un. I'm kidding, that was a joke. RTE does not endorse any of what I just said. Let's quickly get that out of the way. Facilio Quinley is a respectable statesman who is contributing to Irish political activity and is genuinely exciting whenever he enters a chat, and is genuinely keeping the Social Democrats entertaining. So I genuinely have no hard feelings. He's a pretty good contributor to Ireland, so respect him, please. But yes, he's being asked to continue here. I believe there were some interruptions over what he was saying, and he's not talking about me there, because obviously I'm interrupting all of them, aren't I? But we do actually have a comment here from the leader of Sinn Féin. We don't need to put this on the screen because this is a very brief comment, but he has said that he will be voting that he has no confidence in the Taoiseach this evening. He has said that Diarmuid was overly confident at the start of the term, as if he had something new to present, but he really didn't. It was all nonsense, and that nonsense still took half a term to begin working on. He's described it as a joke, and while he used to have respect for Diarmuid, he can't say he has respect for a blunt liar. Again, some very, very harsh words being used there from the leader of Sinn Féin. Certainly words that I wouldn't really see very often from a leader of a political party. Very, very clear in calling the Taoiseach a blunt liar there. Very, very, very harsh words, I must say. I'm sure that is certainly going to ruffle a few feathers, and certainly going to annoy Diarmuid himself. Especially because no one likes toxic politics. I didn't like it back where I came from, and I don't like it where I am now. So, be toxic, but don't be that toxic. You can call each other liars, sure, but come on. Anyway, let's actually focus on the agenda this evening. Once again, the Facilio Quinley here, speaking again, dressed in his usual apparel, invoking a sense of Mao Zedong, certainly with that dress, saying that he is making Ireland, saying that the Taoiseach is making Ireland look like the foolish nation he kept speaking out against. Certainly some very strong words there from Mr. Facilio. We will see if we're going to be getting a few other comments here from political leaders in Ireland. We will potentially be bringing on someone for a very quick interview, mostly because, if you couldn't tell by now, my voice is going to break, and I cannot have my voice break while commentating over such dramatic events. So we will hopefully be bringing on a member of the Labour caucus, obviously Labour sitting in opposition right now. We will potentially be bringing on Kamla Peebles-Hessa, former contender for the Labour Party leadership, and we'll learn a bit more as to why she pulled out from the contest, and a few more details on what that contest is about. For reference, of course, Dylan Hello 20, the leader of the Labour Party, was removed as party leader in a vote of confidence by the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party. triggering a leadership election by which Kamala and Lynette registered in. Of course, that leadership election is now, instead of a three horse race, because Dylan was going to run again for leader and try reclaim control, Kamala has pulled out of that contest and put her support behind Lynette. And hopefully we'll learn a bit more about that in the next few minutes. Kamala is, of course, expected to speak in the Dáil very shortly. So, she has to do one of those first, and I'm not in a rush. We are going to, in the meantime, though, bring on a member of the Dáil who is very close to the Taoiseach. And by very close, I mean so close that it's actually worrying how close he is to the Taoiseach, in that it's literally the Taoiseach. So we are going to bring on the Taoiseach very, very shortly. We will, of course, have a queue of people inevitably tonight to bring on, because once again, I love doing these things solo with Blair, but I really do need to rest my voice occasionally. So we will bring on the Taoiseach, not Taoiseach, the Taoiseach. They're very similar words, Taoiseach, Taoiseach. We'll bring on the Taoiseach very, very shortly with us now. We're just going to quickly attempt to establish contact with him now. Hopefully he will be with us any second now, and will again be with us and be with us. I'm running out of words and synonyms to use here in order to fill the time. We have been told, by the way, that the Just Stop Oil protesters are not communists. I'm willing to say that that's not true. But anyway, we will be bringing on the Taoiseach very shortly. We are just equipping him with all of the interview equipment. Believe it or not, we are still using equipment from the 1980s in order to interview our guests. So he's got to put on a whole microphone set in order for us to be able to bring him on in a second. So we're going to go over to the studio and speak to him. This is now turning into a contest of how long I can filibuster in order to allow for this man to be brought on. So we're going to, again, go to the studio and bring on, once he arrives, the Taoiseach of Ireland, the leader of Fine Gael, James Aitken, who is, of course, the deputy coalition partner of Diarmuid O'Donovan's government. Someone with a very large stake in everything that's going to be happening tonight. We're just going to bring him over momentarily. Once, of course, we at the studio figure out just how to work the main controls here. I believe we have established contact at bloody last with the leader of Fine Gael. Mr. Aitken, can you hear us? Mr. Aitken, please tell me you can hear us.
Hi, Dean. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Lovely. Welcome, Mr. Aitken, to RTE. Can you just tell us this evening how you're going to vote? Let's just quickly get that part out of the way.
We've had discussions all day. I'll be completely open and frank with you. We're pretty divided on it. I'm not going to lie to you. We're pretty divided on it. So it's something that we're obviously still discussing and stuff. Obviously, there has been great parts of the government. There's also been parts where we've kind of fallen down. I'm not going to throw the blame at certain people within Fianna Fáil. It's just been kind of a collective issue with them. I've raised it with Diarmuid himself, and it's been an issue that we've had. Outside that, though, the government's been fine. We've operated. We've done what we should be doing. Just think we could do a little bit more. So, obviously, if we survive this, I would really like to think it'll give certain members of the cabinet a little bit of a boot,
So you say that your party is currently divided on whether or not to support the vote of confidence or whether or not to. But you also say just now that you have hope that this government will survive. Can you tell us, if you would like to, of course, who within Fine Gael is hesitant on continuing to support the government, which you personally are part of and have a major stake in?
I'm not going to name names, obviously for obvious reasons.
Damn it.
I'm sorry, man. I just can't. I'm not that sort of person. There were private discussions, but obviously, they're completely valid reasons for their issues with it. I completely understand where they're coming from. Obviously, as second in command, I'm obviously going to try my best to try and defend Diarmid. There's just certain things that we've disagreed on, and it's very hard to defend him on it. But I do think overall, when you look at an overall picture, this government has done well. We were coming out from Labour for a couple of terms, and I think we're something new. I just think there's been a few teething points within Fianna Fáil who are quite divided, and I think that's kind of just overflowing into the government between Desmond and Diarmid and all the rest of it. There's quite a lot of factions going on there, which is obviously an issue that with Fianna Fáil, not the government itself, but obviously because they're part of the government, it does kind of overflow. If you understand what I'm saying.
In just over 30 minutes' time, you and members of Fine Gael and the entire Dáil are going to be expected to give confidence to Diarmid and keep saying that you have confidence in Diarmid's leadership, or whether or not you don't and you want something new. How can Diarmid sort of keep working with you after this evening, if this vote does go his way, if your party is so divided on the continuation of this government?
Yeah.
We do actually have a bit of an emergency thing happening in the Dáil, actually, and I don't think I caught any of that because I was asking a question. We will, I believe, hopefully get a recap in my ear in just a minute. Okay, we have just had a bit of a summary given to us here at the RTÉ studio, in that that Kamla, who is of course a challenger, or was a challenger to Dylan's leadership of the Labour Party, has just announced his support of the motion of no confidence this evening. Of course, Dylan, as we reported earlier, is the seconding the motion of confidence this evening. Of course, Michael McGrath being the presenter of it as leader of the opposition. Certainly, that is just one half of the Labour caucus, mostly because they've only got 2 seats. That will not be, I believe, supporting the attempt to topple Diarmid's government there, I believe. Although we will, again, keep seeing what Kamla has to say here. I will quickly go back to James Aitken, though. Hopefully Kamla will go 5 minutes without causing a major rupture in the Dáil. Can you not do that for once, Cam? I'm kidding, of course. We like this kind of stuff. But James Aitken, so Mr. Aitken, how can Diarmid be able to, if this vote fails and if he survives, how can he be expected to trust you for the remaining 3 weeks if your party has been divided even up until now, 30 minutes until sort of D-Day, essentially?
I mean, we've worked throughout the term. Obviously, if the party still remains divided, I think what the plan is, we've kind of talked this through. So there's obviously, we are evenly divided. So obviously I am in support. I obviously do support the government and stuff. I do think there's, more room that we can make. But obviously other members of the caucus are against that idea. So if it continues like this and it doesn't change, what we'll probably do is just abstain. I'll be brutally honest, that's probably the plan, is just abstain. I know that's also what's happening with Labour. I was chatting to Kira earlier. She said because obviously one was in support, one was against, that their votes is going to be abstain. I think that'll probably be the same for us. Now, obviously, if it does change, fair enough. But people are allowed their opinions, and I'm not that sort of leader that's like, no, you have to support this government. If you're against it, I'm not going to sit here and tell you you have to support you or you're out kind of thing. I think it's completely valid, the points that they raised. That it's not political gain, it's actual genuine concern. And I completely understand where they're coming from. So I really do hope, before the vote's finished, that we can try and convince them otherwise. If not, the votes our vote for Fine Gael will just be like an abstention. So it's not great. That's not what we want. But if we do survive, hopefully, we'll take a good look and see where we can make improvements. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll probably just, cut our losses and try and pull out. I think for the best, to be honest. David doesn't need a partner that is a little bit divided like that,
I mean, I just want to pick up on the very last few words you just said there about basically saying we're a divided party. Diarmid can always go and find someone else. Isn't that a bit demeaning of your own party to say that you're basically saying that you're an unreliable coalition partner? So if the government does collapse tonight, how can anyone who wants to form a government after this, if it does go south for Diarmid, how can they trust Fine Gael?
I mean, that is not what I've said at all. I think what we're saying is that the issues have been with Fianna Fáil. They have been so divided. Now, I really wish I could show you some of the chats. They really have been extremely divided, and it's an internal issue with Fianna Fáil that the members have been raised, and that's the issues it is with Fianna Fáil and some of the certain cabinet members of Fianna Fáil, because it kind of overflows in cabinet meetings that turn into absolute chaos. No decisions can be made collectively because Diarmid can't control his own caucus, and that's the issue that they have, and it's completely understandable. I completely get it. It's very frustrating for me, who is coming up to Diarmid being like, right, we need X, Y, and Z done. We need to push this on, and they're like, no, well, I can't, because there's members of my caucus that have said they're going to vote against it because they don't like this part, they don't like this part. Even though, it's something that we've already collectively decided on, but because they don't like Diarmid and they want him out, they're changing their minds, and it's very much just like, I do support you, but you need to really get your guys in order here, and I'm not sure what Fine Gael can do, because you're trying to drag us down too, and at the end of the day, we're doing our jobs and we're doing what we should be doing. It's you guys that are kind of dragging us down, and it's very much like, we're not going to sit here and take the blame, even though it's collective responsibility, and I completely agree with it. We're not going to sit here and get blamed for an activity and nothing being done when it's not our side that's letting the side down, it's your side. You know what I mean?
So you've just confirmed on RTE that there's a heavy amount of division, both within your own party, on whether or not to stay committed to the government or the coalition government, and you've also just confirmed that Fianna Fáil themselves are having some bitter divisions. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Fine Gael is having issues. Well, it's not issues. It's more of a healthy debate surrounding the coalition. I think Fianna Fáil itself is having divisions between themselves. It's over the leadership.
Do you know? Sorry to interrupt. Do you know what those divisions are about? Obviously, I'm not asking you to air out all the dirty laundry on air, but do you know what the major dividing points are?
To my knowledge, it's something between Desmond and Diarmid. I honestly don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know how far back that goes. Don't know if it's an old grudge or what. But that's all I know. Now, I'm not, obviously, maybe there's other reasons behind that. I think it's something to do with leadership. I know there's talks of leadership spill going on or something, but I don't really know. I try and keep out of the Fianna Fáil party politics, to be honest with you, but it's very hard to when it's kind of dragging the government down as well.
That's absolutely fair. The final question I'm going to ask you. We will. I will just say now, and this isn't really a question. Actually, this is more of a statement. Just to follow up, because I know you mentioned Desmond. Desmond did get in touch with RTE earlier today, and I will read out his comment word for word, because I'm not going to twist any words here. But he has said that the rumours circulating of him, quote, voting against the government, end quote, is completely made up, cherry picked from nowhere. Do you have a reaction to that at all?
Yeah. Interesting. It's not what I've heard. It's not what I've heard from certain Fianna Fáil TDs, but I honestly I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what Desmond. I think he tries his best, but it's really hard to keep up when it's a bit of whiplash going on sometimes,
Thank you for your time, Mr. Aitken. I would say that you've answered all our questions, but I think you've just given me more, honestly.
I'm sorry about that. But yeah,
It's
we'll be interested to
okay.
see how tonight goes.
Certainly. There's going to be a lot of interviews after tonight, let's just say that much.
I can imagine. All right.
But yes, do take care and get back to the door, get back to debating.
All right, cheers. Thanks a million. Bye.
See you later. That was, of course, the Taoiseach, James Aitken, leader of Fine Gael and the coalition's junior coalition partner in the Fianna Fáil Fine Gael coalition. We have just heard some very, very revealing statements there from the Taoiseach saying that there are divisions both within his own party, Fine Gael, over whether or not to continue supporting Diarmid O'Donovan's government, and divisions within Fianna Fáil, or at least that is what the Taoiseach is hearing, I believe, pretty much second or third hand. There are divisions within Fianna Fáil between Diarmid O'Donovan and Desmond Ní Cheaphain, and that there are multiple other TDs involved in that. We can say that rumours were circulating across the day and early this morning and earlier this afternoon that certain TDs were planning to show their disapproval for Diarmuid O'Donovan's government. We are probably going to see that in the final vote tally after this evening, whether or not there is dissent or whether or not there is support. But if we are to believe what Desmond has told us in person or in private rather here at RTE, it is that he has no intention of voting against the government. So certainly a lot of questions to be raised this evening. Obviously, while we've been having that interview with James, we have been, of course, broadcasting what is happening in the Dáil. Of course, Kamla was giving her speech. I believe she is still continuing to make her statements here from the sort of Labour benches there in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Of course, someone who is a challenger to the leadership of Dylan Hello 20, someone who tabled the vote of no confidence in him within the Labour Party, someone who is often attributed now with the fall of two leaders of the party, Gillian Whittaker earlier this year, just a few months ago, and now Dylan Hello has fallen as a result of Kamla's opposition to them. I guess we can start calling it the Kamla effect. If Kamla speaks out against you, you are inevitably going to fall. Someone help me, help that catch on, please. Can we, someone spread that? Anyway, we do have a statement that the leader of Sinn Féin has been readmitted to the chamber and will be debating later on. There are only 20 minutes of debate left until the 9 o'clock cap will be reached. So hopefully he will have a chance to speak before then. Once, of course, we hit 9 o'clock, voting will begin, and we are undoubtedly going to be getting a few comments of how people have voted and whatnot. We will hopefully be getting a statement soon once, of course, Kamla has given her comments in the Dáil. We'll hopefully get an interview with her in the in here over at the studio. Although she won't be with us in the studio, she'll be talking to us from the Dáil over to us in the studio. But in the meantime, we will be attempting to contact a former Taoiseach and someone who has been name dropped earlier now. But we are going to bring on someone who has definitely had their fair share of experiences with the Irish political sphere, and that person is, of course, former Taoiseach and former Labour leader Gillian Whittaker, former Labour leader, former Fine Gael leader, former everything, Gillian Whittaker. Hello, Gillian.
Hello,
Yeah.
Dean, how are you?
I'm great. So, Gillian, first question: are you Team Diarmuid or Team McGrath?
Oh my God, that is the question of the century. I'm sure many people are anticipating an answer here. Before I even answer, though, I just want to preface this with, I think in today's political sphere, it's very difficult to pick a team because both are extremely low in quality, I feel like. I do believe that, and I've said this with Conor Novak, I'm sure he disagrees. I do believe that I think our political sphere is lowering itself in quality. I'm not sure I could pick a side. Both are right on certain issues. I just want to say Diarmuid has led a good government. I think he's a very level-headed person. I'm not sure I could pick Team McGrath because of the people he has in his party.
The follow-up question I want to ask about that is something a bit more personal, I suppose,
Sure.
and that is this. You've obviously served as Taoiseach before. You've kind of gone through everything in Ireland, really. You've become a party leader. You've been toppled as a party leader. You've been toppled as a Taoiseach. You've experienced pretty much everything you can.
I've had high highs and low lows.
Yep. So I want to ask, this is more of like a situational question, I guess, like personal belief here. Diarmuid O'Donovan, we are hearing a lot of rumour that there could be a rebellion from even within Fianna Fáil, and obviously due to the way that the vote no confidence voting works, unless over 50% of them somehow vote against Diarmuid, then it's not really going to matter. But it's symbolic of dissent, it's symbolic of what some people would say, and what I would personally say, disloyalty. You have had first-hand experience with this. You are probably the veteran of having knives in your back, many knives at once. So I want to personally ask you, what are your thoughts on inner-party dissent in something like a vote of no confidence? Because we've seen it so many times. I want to get your personal belief on that.
I have a very, as you just mentioned, I have a very difficult relationship with political dissent. As Taoiseach, I felt I was very, very tolerant, obviously too tolerant in hindsight, of dissent and different opinions. So I suppose in hindsight, I suppose I think a more authoritarian approach should be taken. I think there are two types of dissent. There is very much justified dissent, like what we're seeing in the Labour Party right now. Dylan Hello was a less than adequate a leader, unfortunately, and I think a challenge to his leadership was necessary. I think what Diarmuid O'Donovan is facing is unjustified dissent. He has led Fianna Fáil to the first general election victory in quite some time, and as much as I hate to say it, he is not deserving of knives on his back. And frankly, I think he should take swift action against those who are. And I know that that seems kind of a disciplinarian approach to dissent in Fianna Fáil. That's the action I would take.
I know that we over at RTE must always maintain a neutral and impartial opinion and show a variety of opinions. But just to quickly break with that, I absolutely agree with every inch of what you just bloody said.
Yeah.
I mean, now being genuine though, Diarmuid O'Donovan, just to list off some of his accomplishments, he's again longest serving leader of the opposition. It takes some balls to last that long as leader of the opposition and not give up. Like, how? He's finally become Taoiseach. Finally, like he's gotten it, and and not only that, he's the first Fianna Fáil Taoiseach. That is remarkable. That party's never ever really got
even Tormentium. No offense to Tormentium, the bifold himself, even he couldn't do it. So it's
absolutely. So
it's an achievement of great measure.
So it really does raise the question of if the backstabbing is confirmed, if we do get the final votes in here and we do see that 3 or 4 Fianna Fáil TDs do just say we want Diarmuid gone, how do they justify that? I really want to see the justification for that.
They absolutely cannot. I think Diarmuid's biggest trip up this term, now I could be wrong, I've not been the most in touch with our politics since departing. His biggest trip ups were with the National Union of Journalists, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there was some bigger bumps in the road. But I don't think that's a justification for a vote of no confidence. I think if we were to see dissent, and by dissent I mean backstabbing, I suppose, if we were to see that this late into the term, this violently, then it's completely unjustified. I don't think you can provide a genuine reason as to why Diarmuid should be removed from office. He has every notch under his belt at the moment, and I think it's just completely unjustified, and I don't know, it's toxic, and I don't want that in Irish politics, I guess.
Absolutely. Now, moving on from the vote of confidence onto the Labour Party, a party that you've led, you've been a major Labour figure in Irish politics. I want to get your take on what's been recently happening, and of course, for the viewers at home, Dylan Hello, he's gone as Labour leader, or at least he's now fighting to try get back the leadership, and he's going to be up against Lynette, former veteran civil servant. Former Can Comler, a veteran of the Irish community. So we've got, I was going to say a clash of titans, but it's more David and Goliath when you think about it. So I just want to get your take on what's going on in the Labour Party. You team Lynn, I presume, or team Dylan?
Well, I think I was really hoping this would go without saying. I am unequivocally team Lynn Ní Cahan. She is, I don't know, I'm not even going to waffle about it. I'm sure your viewers have heard it all about her before. She, her long-spanning career in the civil service. Normally, I don't like the idea of civil servants getting involved in politics. But, she's not a civil servant anymore. She's no longer Ken Corley. She's no longer, after months, I think over a year of service in the government, the Department of Taoiseach. So that's clear. Now that she's out of the civil service, I should say, she is absolutely ready. She's Taoiseach material, I view that. And it goes without saying, I think, that it's impressive that Dylan has returned to the ballot after being removed. But
he's not going to go down without a fight.
I mean, that's respectful, I suppose. I was of the different view. I thought that once as Lana Del Rey once said, if you know, you know what I mean. But no, Lynn is Taoiseach material. I think it goes without saying she should be the next Taoiseach if she wins the leadership election in Labour.
That's all the questions I have for you, really. Just to quickly clarify for our viewers, we have the leader of Sinn Féin speaking right now, Mr. Potato Cure. Well, he was apparently ejected or expelled, not by the CC, but by I believe, administration for admin abuse earlier, but he has now returned. He has been given his right to speak by the deep state, and hopefully he will not abuse that right to speak. Otherwise, he will lose it by order of Conor Novak. So thank you for joining us, Killian. Do take care for the rest of the evening, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Mm-hmm. That was, of course, Killian Whitaker, former Taoiseach, former Labour leader, former Fine Gael leader, and just about former fucking everything. Oh, wait, I've sworn now. But is it 9 o'clock? It's not 9 o'clock. I'm not going to get away with that. Oh, well, what can you do? We will go over very soon to Kamla, if we can, of course, make her available. Kamla, of course, being a veteran island politician now, a very recent but addition to the Irish political sphere, but someone who's had her own impact, someone who's had a major influence over the Department for Justice and Equality, a major impact over the course of Labour Party history, again being seen as responsible pretty much for the fall of two Labour leaders, which, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, maybe we can make it free, Just, keep that in mind, Cameron. I want to make it free after this, after Lynn or Dylan get it. I don't know. We're not here to endorse a candidate, and we are RTÉ impartial. But we are going to go to Kamla very, very shortly, once, of course, we patch her up with all of the heavy studio equipment that we have to, of course, rig her up with, because we, again, are still living in the 1980s. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to rig her up. That sounds wrong out of context. We're going to get her connected up to our system, and we will hopefully be able to listen to her over the phone and see what she has to say. Once again, of course, the leader of Sinn Féin here speaking in the Dáil. I do apologise to him. We've not really been talking about him too much. But he is, of course, voting against the government this evening. A member of the opposition and someone who, of course, is not exactly fond of Diarmid. We do, of course, now have Kamla. We have connected her up earlier, and then I thought it appears our systems are getting better. Kamla, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Kamla, big apologies for pretty much missing what you said earlier. We missed a lot of your speech because I was interviewing James. But we do have you here now, of course. So the first question I do have for you is, what do you think about all this? What do you think about what's happening tonight? This vote of no confidence, the state of Diarmid's government, the supposed rumours of division that are going around, and generally the state of the Dáil.
Well, quite frankly, the government has not done what it set out to do. But on the flip side of that, this is me talking from knowing what's going on in the Labour Party right now, and the fact that I am working with the government on a particular piece of policy. I want to see that policy come to some kind of fruition. So that is why I have made the choice to vote for confidence in the government, even though it is very clear that they have failed in their endeavor to govern for the Irish people. On the other side of that as well, I have to think of my party. My party leader, or at least soon to be former party leader, Dylan, made a politically dumb move to endorse this motion of no confidence. And he did not come to me as his deputy leader because, as far as I'm concerned, I am still the deputy leader of the Labour Party. He has not said anything to anybody about this. I haven't heard from Michael McGrath, the leader of the opposition. I haven't heard from anyone about this. We all found out about this motion at the same time as the rest of the country did. And that is reckless, in my opinion. And that's
Absolutely
why I also
fair.
voted. And that's why, because we're also in the middle of a leadership contest, we're currently voting for a new leader. I decided to vote confidence to cancel out Dylan's vote based on what we were told by the staff of the Oireachtas, and to just stop this, because it really is wildly imprudent to be doing this when in reality we only have 2 sittings of the Dáil left for this term, because this would have been the third week to 1 week, and then we have the election. So it makes no sense at this time to be doing this. Let them live out the rest of their term, because based on everything I've been hearing, they have plans. Do I trust that they will execute these plans? No, except for one, the one that I'm working with them on, which the government will announce in due course. But
I was going to ask you, actually, what is this policy you're talking about? Because we've heard that quite a few times there, but what is the policy, if you could give us a bit of a hint?
well, it's not a secret. It's if you recall, Dean, I had laid down a ministerial order last term to establish, or to at least start, the development for an international court based in Ireland for smaller countries with very inactive judiciaries to have their cases tried in Ireland. The government has chosen not to revoke that order, and they are actually working on the development of that court. And they have graciously allowed me to come in to help them with that, since it was originally my policy and they liked it. So that's that policy that they wanted to work with me on.
For one quick question I want to ask you about the ongoing matters in the Labour Party. I will just say, by the way, we've got 6 minutes left of the debate for our viewers watching. I want to just ask you a bit about the Labour Party, because obviously you announced your candidacy. Of course, I mean, I know a bit more than I guess people watching this know, but of course you withdrew from the contest. You've put your support behind Lynn. Well, the question I want to ask you is, why do you think the Labour Party is in the state it is now, without really blaming Dylan entirely? Because I'm certain there's a lot that could be said about Dylan, and you're absolutely free to right now. But I just want to ask you, you know, in a heart-to-heart conversation here, why is Labour why is it in the state that it is, in your opinion?
I think it was because we were in power for all of 8 months with no break in between. The country basically got tired of us. And, you know, we can't blame them for feeling this kind of fatigue, because when you see the same people in government over and over again, and as well, it must be noted, for 4 of those 8 months, we were in coalition with Sinn Féin. Right? People get tired of it. And supporters who once supported Labour with all their might would realize, you know, it's getting a bit more difficult to support the party because the party just got tired. There are people in the party who just got tired of governing. They lost their drive to want to govern. And that really is why the party is where it is right now with these 2 seats. But I think after we've taken this term to sit it out, you know, work on ourselves internally, get new leadership, be it me or Lynette or whomever, we could actually come back as a united force to either lead a coalition again, or at the very least, to lead the opposition, the official opposition in Ireland. But on the other part about me supporting Lynette, it was actually a really interesting story. I was the first person to submit my candidacy, then Lynette, and then Dylan. Once it came up that Dylan was running again for leader, I went to Lynette and said, look, let's come together with this, because you and I both know that if we join forces, we can actually pull this off. And I don't mean just beating Dylan, but I mean getting to that point of running the country again. And Lynette said yes. And we have basically merged our teams together. And now we will provide Ireland with that united front and that serious about governing team that has experience, that knows what they're doing, to actually make a change in Ireland. and to put Labour back in Merrion Street again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely fair. The final question I'll ask you, since I know the session is probably about to end momentarily, we can actually see that Superman has even graced us with his presence at tonight's session. I don't think even he can save whatever's going to happen tonight, I've got to be honest with you. But I mean, I thank him for his presence either way, though, but I don't think Superman has the power of political arbitration. I don't think that was in the comics. We are going to... actually, yeah, I'll save the question for soon, actually, because we are going to keep our eyes on the Dáil, because something could happen here. Actually, it's just said that we've actually just seen live on screen a member of the Sinn Féin caucus has actually just been told that they are no longer part of the Sinn Féin Oireachtas caucus. Just been very bluntly fired on screen. The last time I've seen an instance like this, we actually had the same three people that we've got in the VC right now, and we witnessed the exact same thing in the UK.
Oh my gosh. I'm shocked.
That is, I mean, I mean, history never repeats, but boy, does it rhyme. But yes, we did just, for those again just tuning in, we did just witness that the leader of Sinn Féin, Potato Cure, has just dismissed one of his caucus members, one of his TDs, and informed them of their dismissal right as the session was coming to a close there. Very scenes I have witnessed before.
That was very, very... I remember when that happened in the UK, we were all like shocked.
Yeah.
Because it's something that the particular party leader was on holiday and he got on mobile just to fire someone in the middle of the...
We will I will keep this interview going, but just before we continue it, I will say that of course the Dáil has come to a close there. For those who are just tuning in, voting for the motion of no confidence, obviously TDs will now be expected to say whether or not they have confidence in the government or whether they do not. Voting will take place, of course, amongst the members of Dáil Éireann. The voting system is done in a very different way to what you expect. Essentially, if over 50% of a party vote in favour of confidence or vote one way, then the whole party is considered to have voted that way. It's a bit... I'll explain it later, whatever. But voting has begun. We will hopefully in the next 30 minutes or so be seeing a message from the Taoiseach as well. The Taoiseach has told us that he will be giving a speech. We will, of course, receive that in as a pre-recorded message, because we all know that Diarmuid is so prepared that he obviously keeps a tape of all situations and scenarios under his desk, just in case. But we will go and see a statement from him later on this evening. Until then, voting has opened. We will now, or the fate of the government will now be sealed in the next 30 minutes or so. We have actually, and I'm really sorry for delaying the interview, Kamala, but we have actually just gotten a message from the member of the Labour caucus who was sacked, and they have... I'm sorry, give me a minute.
Member of the Sinn Féin caucus who was sacked.
Give me a minute. They have just told me that, quote, they have just removed me from the party. No joke. I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
And
for
by
speaking
the way,
their
I
minds.
just cast my vote.
Oh, Lord, I'm sorry. I need to recover from this. Once again, very shocking scenes. We will probably have a comment from the leader of Sinn Féin in regard to that, but that is Emily Winters, or Emily, an Irish developer for Ireland, and a member of the Sinn Féin caucus, being sacked on the spot there. My God, I'm so... I would just like to ask the offender in question, Emily, to actually tell us what she said in the Dáil, so we can actually examine what she was sacked for. Just a request.
Want to see that.
Yeah.
And as well,
But anyway,
I just cast my vote on the motion, and knowing that my vote came in first from the Labour caucus, it automatically cancels out Dylan's vote because he is the second part of the caucus, and I voted for confidence in the government.
we have actually seen that the guys this is the part where I try repronounce that company name. Saoirse have actually published the photo on their Twitter of the moment that this TD was sacked. A very good angle of it, might I just say.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate Saoirse because they are really doing an amazing job?
Actually, yes, we would just like to say thank you, Dayuki, and the people at CSR who are actually doing some very good reporting for the Irish community. Much better than me spontaneously laughing when these kind of things happen. But anyway, Kamla, I'll continue the interview now and try get recomposed here. Obviously, you just explained the sort of rationale behind the way you've voted. The one thing I want to ask you is, you obviously have high hopes for Labour being able to get back into the action and get back into, either main opposition, official opposition, or, of course, being part of a government. And what I want to ask you is, what's the roadmap for that going to look like? Because from 2 seats, that's going to be quite a challenge, isn't it?
Well, I will admit it will be challenging coming from 2 seats. But, the roadmap to governance, it really depends on who wins this leadership contest. I am not in any true position to say what will be done, except to say that if Dylan somehow, by some act of God, manages to win, or some freak accident happens to win again, he would end up doing basically most of the same, which is nothing. And if Lynette wins, I will be on her team, knowing the past performance of Labour and what we can do, and bringing the new policy perspective in as well. We will actually see concrete steps to regaining the confidence and the trust of the Irish people so we can govern again.
Before I ask you the final question, I would just like to quickly ask you if you can spread the word to tell every single TD to happily direct message me with how they voted so I can, start. We need to delay for 30 minutes because we have to wait for the Taoiseach statement. But do tell them to send us some material because I'm good at speaking, but I'm not that good. But the final question.
I'll stay with you for as long as you want. I have nothing else to do today.
Very true, but I don't want to have 2 interviews that get boring and too long, and I'm going to run out of questions. But the final question I will ask you, the final one, before we sort of cut to some other information and whatnot, and some other headlines, because there are some other things we need to talk about. What I want to ask you is this: I want to ask you if I can remember the question, because my brain likes to do this thing where it immediately forgets the next sentence I'm going to say. It happens like every single time I do a broadcast. The question I have for you is this: where do you see yourself in a future government? Are you going to be returning to the Department for Justice and Equality?
Well, no.
Oh, something different.
Yes, I want to diversify my experiences to try a different department, to see if I can turn around another system. So that's why I had spoken with Lynette about this, and in any future proposed cabinet under Lynette Nicathane's leadership, I would be the proposed Minister for Business, Enterprise and Innovation.
I see. Going to the DBEI. Debbie. We call it Debbie now. Going to Debbie. Lovely. Those are all the questions I have. I will, however, give you about 2 minutes to sort of just... Do you have any final comments on what's happened today? Any final comments?
I will say the opposition has probably overplayed its hand with this motion, but we really will not know until every last vote is counted. And I just hope that we do not get thrown into an early election just to suit the ego of a few people on the wrong side of the house. So, yeah, that's kind of hit.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Kamla, for being with us. We always appreciate having you on.
And by the
Hopefully,
way, this is the debut of the new wig. Do you like it?
Yes, I do. I do like it a lot. And that wasn't sarcastic. I genuinely mean that. But no, I do like it. But yes, thank you for being with us, Kamla. Do take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye. Thank you.
See you later. That is, of course, Kamla, who is a major Labour Party figure, TD, and a former Minister for Justice and Equality. Now, we do have a lot of reports coming in, and this will probably be the main focus of our broadcast for the next few minutes. We are getting major reports from a member of Sinn Féin, the member, of course, being Emily Winters, developer for Ireland, and now former member of the Sinn Féin caucus, who was sacked on air, live in front of us, just minutes ago. We have gotten some information, some more words from her regarding what's happening on the Sinn Féin side of things. And we have been informed that another TD who has also showed their support for Diarmuid O'Donovan's government is also being threatened with a sack, or being threatened with the sack. We can now tell our viewers that Emily Winters, again a TD for Sinn Féin, was sacked by the leader, Potato Cure, because she showed support for Diarmuid O'Donovan's government and stated that she would be voting in favour of the government and voting that she has confidence in Diarmuid O'Donovan's coalition government. We can confirm that has just been told to us now, but we cannot confirm, of course, whether or not another TD has been threatened or been sacked already. Just that from the pictures that we just saw in the Dáil earlier, that one member has already been told that they're no longer going to be part of the caucus. We are getting words, of course, from the leader of Sinn Féin himself, Potato Cure, clarifying that he has not directly sacked anyone. He's just told his caucus what he's done. No one has been directly threatened. And continuing on, as we are getting this quite literally live and at the same time as you viewers are, that Emily has not been removed yet and that she can still vote. Of course, the images that we saw in the Dáil earlier is a sign that she will be facing potential removal from the Sinn Féin Oireachtas caucus, at least judging from what we have seen. In fact, we have just been told by Potato Cure that that the leader of the Sinn Féin does not have the lawful power to remove a TD during no confidence vote proceedings, or as per the Confidence Act, which is true. But he has said that Emily Winters will be removed when the legal time comes. So one thing we can certainly confirm is that Emily Winters will no longer be in the job after this weekend as a Sinn Féin TD. However, we have had confirmation there, essentially, that she is facing removal as a result of showing support for the government. Now, we are, of course, listening to both sides here, reporting on both sides as we are getting it, and we have been shown that Emily Winters has been removed from what must be assumed to be a Sinn Féin-related GC or group chat. Anyway, moving on our coverage slightly onto other headlines this evening. The Information Commissioner, Lucy Quattick, is facing prison time for failing to comply with a court order. Lucy Quattick did say that she stands by her decision to break the court order. As far as I'm aware, it's because she didn't do her job and didn't disclose information that had been requested via a Freedom of Information request. If I recall correctly, you'd think that I would have all the facts on the broadcast, but this is unscripted. This is NewsNow. We don't have scripts. In other news, however, the motion of no confidence is going ahead. Voting has, of course, opened, and we will hopefully be getting more confirmations on how TDs are voting and which way they are swaying. Why did I say? I do not. In fact, actually, we have been told that Eugene V. Debs, a TD for the Social Democrats, has, as expected, voted along with his party in that they are not confident in Diarmuid O'Donovan's government. Of course, the leader of the Social Democrats, Michael McGrath, is the one who tabled this vote of no confidence in the first place. Speaking of the vote of no confidence, the second person to have supported this vote of no confidence, Dylan Hello, the former Labour leader, or technically current Labour leader, but vote of no confidence himself by his own party. He did give RTÉ a statement earlier this evening, much as Michael McGrath did. We will bring up his statement, hopefully, on the screen as well. His supporting statement with Michael McGrath, of course, and we will take a quick look at that. He did tell us that Diarmuid has failed. It's halfway in the term and he still only has a quarter promises fulfilled. The government is constantly being outnumbered in legislative sessions, with most proposed bills being struck down by heavily opposition majorities. A majority of members coming now are all opposition. He continues, the Taoiseach has been spotted in anti-government protests. A man which is suspected to be Kenny Phelan was spotted by myself and others armed, and the best activity this government saw was today when Diarmuid went on an activity surge to make him look like he's doing stuff to the general public. He finishes by saying he's failed, we can't go on with it, it's why I've seconded it. And those are his comments about the vote of no confidence and the reasons why he is supporting them. We did, of course, see today that Kamla P. Besessa, who is the second Labour Party TD, obviously the party only has 2 seats in the Dáil Éireann, will be voting in favour of the government and expressing her confidence in the government. She, of course, stated that this would mean that her vote would cancel out Dylan's. Certainly a strategic move on her part. We've got further comments from Social Democrat TD Eugene V. Debs, who has said he is not confident in this expletive of a government. Very strong words, again, being used here by members of the opposition. We saw earlier that the leader of Sinn Féin, Potato Cure, is against the government, and he'll be voting that he is not confident, saying that Diarmuid is a blunt liar. Very strong terms being used here by the opposition to describe Diarmuid O'Donovan. I mean, Diarmuid O'Donovan himself and his government. It's certainly a very personal fight that is going on between the government and opposition figures this evening. We are, of course, 15 minutes into voting now. Most TDs will have submitted their ballots by this point. We will not know the result, of course, until most TDs have voted. Voting periods, of course, could last anywhere between now and an hour, depending on circumstances and otherwise. Of course, if all TDs are online and vote quickly, then it ends quicker. We have been told by Eugene V. Debs that he says that he shouldn't have accepted Desmond's apology. Now, this is referring to an instance where Desmond was the reason why Eugene V. Debs is part of the Social Democrat caucus. He was originally a Fianna Fáil TD, defecting to Social Democrat benches when he was faced with some very harsh and nasty comments from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Desmond Nicolfain. Desmond later published an apology, although it appears that Eugene is still is not undeterred necessarily in his opposition. He's now very opposed to the government that he was once sitting with. Not an unfamiliar sight in Irish politics. But yes, continuing on, I would just like to say, since we've got about another 15 minutes before we are expecting to receive word that the Taoiseach has released his statement for the night, in light of either winning this vote of no confidence or not, that if you are a member of the Dáil Éireann or Seanad Éireann and you would like to give, or a member of Irish society that would like to give your opinions on what's been happening tonight, feel free to contact me at Dean_Lawrence to give me your comments in direct messages. That is the most efficient way that I will be able to find out what your opinions are and read them out for all of Ireland to hear. Again, that is Dean_Lawrence. There are no numbers and there are no hashtags, not anymore at least. Quite sad, it ruins my original expression. Continuing on, though, we are getting a statement here from Emily Winters, who is once again a Sinn Féin TD as of right now, although is facing removal following tonight's vote of no confidence, that she has put out a statement here saying that myself and other party members will not stand for the suppression of our voices from our leader. Certainly a brawl is waiting to happen in the Sinn Féin benches this evening, and this is very much in tune with what's been going on across nearly all major parties bar the Social Democrats. We are seeing rebellion in the Labour Party. Dylan Hello removed by the National Executive Committee of the party in a vote of no confidence, fighting to get back the leadership from Lynette Ní Chafainn, who has declared her candidacy and is running a campaign to become leader herself. We're seeing division within Fine Gael, with James Aitken saying there is division over whether or not to support the government tonight. And we are hearing rumour of division within Fianna Fáil, with apparently a bit of a clash between Desmond Ní Chafainn, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Diarmuid O'Donovan himself, the Taoiseach of Ireland. That is four major parties experience, and now, of course, Sinn Féin is now potentially going to be facing a large rebellion. Potentially, I say large. We don't know how large. We don't know how small. We do not know what the implications of tonight could mean for Sinn Féin. But we do know that there could be an attempt to remove Potato Cure as leader of Sinn Féin tonight, based on the statement we've had from Emily Winters. But we, of course, cannot confirm anything yet. These are merely stuff that we are sort of assuming, and the potential implications of her statement. That would mean that 4 of the 5 parties sitting in the Dáil are facing major, or potentially major rebellions from caucus members, TDs, and just members of the party. This could be a night to remember. Bunch of political revolutions, so to speak. Once again, we are entering the 20th minute shortly of the vote of no confidence. Once again, we've not been getting a lot of confirmation votes heading our way here at RTÉ, here at Donnybrook Studio. And here from our lovely studio here, the NewsNow studio right now, but I guess you could say the primetime studio eventually, once the day arrives. Stay tuned. But we are being told here, though, that by Potato Cure, that apparently only Emily Winters is voting confidence in the Taoiseach this evening. Of course, we are listening to comments that we're hearing from other members, and we are waiting to probably be told that we can say these things on air, because I'm not going to bait out private DMs, at least I'm trying not to, but we are still listening to stuff here. We have heard from another member of the Sinn Féin caucus here that what Potato Cure has been saying about Emily being the only dissenter is a lie. Once again, this is certainly a growing rebellion now within Sinn Féin against Potato Cure's leadership, following his dismissal of Emily as a result of supporting the government, or at least soon to be dismissal, once again for legal reasons, as per the Confidence Act. He cannot remove a member of his caucus until the vote is over. Only then is he allowed to remove members of his caucus. It's to prevent party leaders from, stacking their caucus right before a vote. We've all been there. We've all done it. At least those of us that have led a party. Anyway, again, we are waiting to hear more comments from members of the Dáil Éireann about the way that they've voted. If you are a member of the Dáil Éireann watching this broadcast, then hurry up and message me. I can only waffle for so long. But yes, once again, some very shocking scenes tonight. Some long-term implications could be on the way for 4 of the 5 parties in the Dáil right now. Of course, the Social Democrats have no obvious signs of internal dissent right now, and there is no sort of rebellion that we're seeing at all. It seems that all of their TDs appear to be following the party line. Sinn Féin, we are now seeing a growing rebellion against Potato Cure's leadership. James Aitken said earlier that Fine Gael were divided over whether or not to continue supporting the coalition government that they are part of. And of course, the Labour Party, sitting in opposition, are facing a leadership contest against Dylan Hello, with Lynette Caffain leading the charge against his leadership. And finally, of course, Fianna Fáil, where we've heard rumours of Desmond ní Caffain supposedly rallying TDs against the leadership of Diarmuid O'Donovan, who is the current Taoiseach fighting for his life. We are getting a few comments here from other members of the Dáil Éireann right now. We are getting a comment from the Minister of Communities, Culture and Language, Max, who has told us that he has cast his ballot for the Taoiseach and that he is 110% confident that the government will be surviving tonight. We're also hearing a few more comments here from the leader of Sinn Féin, who is in constant contact with our RTÉ studio right now, and we are trying to keep in contact with as many people as possible while tonight unfolds. And we're hearing that apparently Eamon McGrath, who is a member of Sinn Féin and a member of the caucus, I believe, will be voting confident. He will be voting in favour of the government this evening. With the leader of Sinn Féin telling us that he hasn't been present for most of the term and that he doesn't see why he's voting. We would need to obviously do an RTE fact check. This would be a very good time to launch our own version of BBC Verify. Now, how about RTE Validate? How does that sound? This is the part where one of the studio members is meant to say yes enthusiastically. RTE Validate.
Yes, Dean, that's a great idea.
Thank you, studio member who... I mean, there's only one studio member, anyway. Thanks, Blair. But yes, RTE Validate will be starting effective immediately. We might actually start a Validate team. That would actually be quite good for like future reference to fact-check these things. But we're talking about headlines. We're talking about the vote no confidence this evening. We're not talking about the RTE strategy for the remainder of the year. That'll be released maybe later this month. Yeah, stay tuned. But yes, we do have a comment there that Eamon will be voting confident and in favour of the government. We've got confirmation that Emily, another member of the Sinn Féin caucus, is voting that they are confident. And we'll see if we can get a comment from another member of the Sinn Féin caucus, Anglo Facilia, who hopefully will give us a statement at some point, or at least one that I can read out on screen, because I don't like constantly reading out DMs that don't explicitly tell me to. Anyway, we have another statement being received from Emily Winters here. Once again, our RTE team is working around the clock right now to break this down, because this is very much turning into the Sinn Féin broadcasting channel tonight. But we move. We're being told here that Emily Winters, once again, the leader here of the Sinn Féin dissenters here, saying that if we are removed, it proves my point that our voices are being suppressed. If we cannot display proper bipartisanship, then it shows how weak our leader is, as well as our spot as a party inside of Ireland. Again, words there from Emily Winters, a current, obviously member of the Sinn Féin team, but current, of course, facing removal pending after the vote. But yes, we will again wait to see if there is any more comments being received here. We are definitely entering sort of the 26th minute now of confidence voting. We're very much hoping to get a result, hopefully within the hour. Otherwise, we are going to be here for a very long time. And I don't want to be here for a very long time, because we are waiting to see how the future of Ireland is going to look politically. Whether or not Taoiseach Diarmuid O'Donovan and his coalition government will survive tonight, or whether or not there is going to be a tough night of negotiating ahead for all of us. Of course, following the confidence vote, we will be going straight to a message from Taoiseach Diarmuid O'Donovan, who will be addressing us in a recorded message here on NewsNow for our viewers to watch and for us to watch and do a quick analysis of before we wrap up tonight's coverage. So we will see how that goes. We'll wait until that message is in our hands. of course, that message will not be given to us, and that clip will not be given to us until the conclusion of tonight's vote. Once again, going over our headlines for this evening, the Information Commissioner is facing time in prison in Ireland for refusing to comply with a court order regarding a freedom of information request. In addition to that, of course, the government is facing a vote of no confidence tonight. Right before that, though, we saw earlier this week that the leader of the Labour Party, Dylan Hello, has been removed by the National Executive Committee in a vote of no confidence of his own. He is now facing a leadership challenge from Lynette Ní Chafainn. Of course, he was also being challenged by Kamla, who has withdrawn from the contest to put her support behind Lynn, stating that they can put their teams together and beat Dylan once and for all. In addition to that, we have just seen a meme posted in the Ireland chat of Potato Cure seemingly crushing Emily Winters within the palm of his hand. Certainly quite a meme, but we move. I don't know why this kind of conduct is tolerated amongst high leaders anymore, but we move. I say anymore as if this is something we've witnessed. We are being told, of course, by the Taoiseach that the clip will hopefully be with us soon, and that there might be certain delays in regards to it, because we are, of course, waiting for voting to close before he obviously gives us his statement regarding the sequence of events that we have witnessed tonight. We are, of course, waiting for, of course, confirmation on what is going on. We have actually got some news coming in now. In addition to everything we are hearing tonight, we have confirmation that Emily Winters has, of course, voted in confident in favour of the government. We've heard that Eamon McGrath has also voted confident and in support of the government. We're also hearing now that Anglo Facilia, a member of the Sinn Féin caucus, has agreed with their fellow TD Emily Winters, stating that our voices must be heard if we are to survive as a party and as a nation. It strives on the ability to get along and not divide. That adds Anglo Facilia's name to the growing list of Sinn Féin members who are opposed to Potato Cure's decision to vote against the government this evening. Of course, the rebels here and have stated that the reason for their support of the government is bipartisanship and working to unite the country instead of dividing it. At least that seems to be the common theme among the rebels in Sinn Féin this evening. Anyway, we are going to continue with our broadcast this evening. Of course, we are entering, I believe, the 1.5 hour mark of tonight's broadcast. Certainly a long one, and if you have stayed with us this long, I know certainly Blair has, and sadly he'll have to. Sorry, Blair, but if you have been with us for tonight, thank you for staying with us, of course, and thank you for hopefully continuing to stay tuned as we wait to hear the result of the no confidence vote. And get a first-hand statement from what the Taoiseach has to say following the vote, of course, in a message that he has prepared for us. Once again, thank you for staying tuned and staying with us. Again, we are not getting much more news in regards to how TDs are voting on this motion of no confidence this evening. We can generally assume now that the entire Social Democrat caucus has voted against the government this evening. Now assume that much of their members have voted against the government. We can assume that safely based on what members have said this evening, based on the support that Cecilia Quinley has for the motion, and the support that TDs such as Eugene have for it. Over in the Labour Party, we know that Dylan Hello is the second for the motion of no confidence, although his fellow TD Kamla has voted in favour of the government, not against them, dividing the Labour vote in half there, one for each side. We, of course, had reports now, just about 30 minutes ago, that the Sinn Féin caucus are very divided on how they're voting. We have confirmation that at least 3 Sinn Féin TDs will be voting in favour of the government, whereas Potato Cure will be voting against them, Potato Cure being the party leader. We know that Fine Gael were locked in a dispute with one another over whether or not to support the government this evening, and we have heard pretty much nothing other than from James Aitken in regards to how they're voting, and even himself said there is the potential to abstain tonight. The coalition partner, might I just emphasise, abstaining on the survival of their own government. Certainly not something we're necessarily alien to. It is being witnessed before that coalition partners pull out, but they don't usually stay in the government while these things happen and not support it. It's not something you see every day. Certainly not every day, otherwise Ireland would have collapsed by now. And of course, we heard earlier this evening that there might be an attempted rebellion by members of the Fianna Fáil caucus voting against Diarmuid, potentially. We are going to try get a comment potentially from the Ceann Comhairle, Ciara O'Kearney, to see how voting is getting along. We're obviously not going to be requesting the ballots themselves, because who do we look like to you? Joe Biden, the Democrat Party? We're not here to rig elections. Come on, get out of here. But we are going to see, or ask rather, how, and literally just see how voting is getting along. Of course, my pronunciation of Kearney has been corrected. It's Carney, but I'm saying Kearney. I'm sticking with that. I'm going to be rude. We have actually been told now by the Ceann Comhairle that the sorry, my apologies, my throat is starting to go. This broadcast has been very long. We have been told by the Ceann Comhairle that they are very close to releasing the results of the vote of no confidence this evening. Of course, we will probably be one of the first broadcasters, first media companies to bring that news straight to you, although we are waiting to hear the final confirmation here. Of course, TDs do run their own media companies and will undoubtedly beat us to it because of the delay, but hopefully we will receive the results soon. This has been a very long night for, I think, everyone, and I think I speak for the entire audience this evening when I say that this has been a long one. But if you stay with us for just a bit longer, and all we're asking is another 15, 20 minutes of your time, if you stay with us a little bit longer, we will be able to bring you the results of the vote. We will be able to bring it to you very, very, very shortly. We are, of course, still waiting for the ballots to be brought to us, but it is, of course, taking time. We, of course, do not have it with us yet, and we have no indication of which way the ballots are going to be going. Once again, we are now entering the 36th minute of our vote of no confidence this evening. Very soon, however, possibly within the next 5 or so minutes, we might have the results in our hands and know whether or not the government of Diarmuid O'Donovan will be staying alive for the remainder of the term. As noted, there are only roughly 2 sittings left to go, although there are, I believe, 3 weeks left in the term, I think. I say 2 sittings, 2 lots of sittings, so 4. To do the maths, 2 times 2. But we will hopefully be receiving the news very soon that the government will either have survived, that they will have retained the confidence of the Dáil, they will have retained the confidence of their own MPs, and generally will continue on for the remainder of the term, or that they will not have a majority of the votes, that they will not have a majority of the Dáil expressing explicit confidence in their government, which would mean that the government would have to go potentially into a second vote of confidence, which, can I just say, if that happens, we're going to have to do that all over again. And I swear to God, if that happens, I'm going to be so bloody annoyed. But we don't have to worry about that, because hopefully we will have a clear answer this evening. Once again, we will have a statement from the Taoiseach following the result. We are, again, really sitting here waiting in anticipation, and we have very little else to say here. Again, we are strongly waiting. I say strongly, we're stiffly waiting for the results to be in our hands, and this is definitely going to be quite a long wait. Trust me, we're all waiting for it. We're all sat here waiting to see what the fate of this government will be. I don't know why I'm trying to make it more dramatic than it is, but we are still waiting and waiting to hear if Diarmuid O'Donovan's government will survive tonight, or whether or not there will be a change of government, or perhaps a fresh new election that I will have to do all the preparation for over on the RTE side, alongside Blair and Franny, way earlier than we're supposed to. Why couldn't we just wait an extra 3 weeks? Why couldn't anyone wait 3 weeks for this government to end? Is it really that bad? I do not know. Now, my throat is about to go. So, I'm going to we're going to call back a former Taoiseach and bring cut to you've already introduced yourself, haven't you? I haven't even introduced you yet.
This is
Shut up. We will be bringing on former Taoiseach and RTE presenter, RTE radio presenter Cillian Whittaker to help out with this broadcast. Hello, Cillian.
Hello.
You totally didn't join and speak earlier than you were meant to.
No, that didn't happen. I was just this is a new person. This is completely impartial Cillian here joining us today.
Yes, hello Cillian. Hopefully we'll bring you into the studio. You can get out your car and slowly start making your way over here. Maybe we'll see. But because I know we had Kamla in the studio earlier as well. But Cillian, how do you think this is going to go?
I think most people are probably very anxious and obviously in anticipation of the result. This is going to be a close vote of no confidence, whether you like it or not. I mean, I believe it was last week Diarmuid had failed bills, which for me that would have been upsetting. We never failed bills, Dean. We had a large majority. So in terms of a vote of confidence, it's going to be pretty difficult to see, will his TDs remain loyal? And most importantly, what opposition parties will remain stiff and what ones will crumble and join the government? So I think, if anything, we should feel grateful that we're not Diarmuid right now, because this is a very, very sticky situation for him.
Mm-hmm. We have been hearing across tonight that Sinn Féin is experiencing a major rebellion in that many of their TDs will be voting in support of the government rather than against it. We've seen that from Emily Winters. We've seen that from we've heard that from Eamon McGrath through the leader of the Sinn Féin himself, who is against all this. Would you say that that's completely unexpected from their members?
Sinn Féin, if I heard you correctly, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be very unexpected. They are not I'm going to have to be frank here, they are not a relevant party. They are not major. So to see division in such a junior party, that's very concerning, not just for them, but generally for the electorate who elected them. I mean, if I were their constituents, I would be very concerned right now, seeing division in such close quarters. I mean, that hasn't happened since last year in Sinn Féin, I'm assuming. So this is concerning news. Even in the big parties like, Social Democrats, they seem to have a united front. Well, they did until they ousted Brian, of course. So This is very worrying for Sinn Féin and their constituents.
We've been seeing now that 4 of the 5 parties sitting in the Dáil are experiencing, or one of them is technically rumours, but are experiencing major upheavals. It's essentially like the revolutions of 1848, but in Ireland today. across the political sphere. We've seen that apparently there's going to be there's rebellion in the Labour Party, where Dylan is now fighting for his life. We've got rebellion in Sinn Féin against Potato Cure, led by Emily Winters. We've got division within Fine Gael over whether or not to back Diarmid or not. And even in Fianna Fáil itself, we're hearing that there is a clash between Desmond and Diarmid. Could this be the start of a week or two of some serious political changes in Ireland?
I think it could last longer than a week potentially. I don't want to sound like the old man with the tinfoil hat going on about conspiracies, but I do think what we're seeing here is a culmination of this new generation of politicians kicking out the old, or settling into Dáil Éireann. Part of me wants to credit myself here and you for bringing in the new people into the Dáil Éireann. This is a new generation of people, people like Desmond, people in the opposition, in the Social Democrats, fighting and rising up against the established figures like Michael McGrath. This is a culmination of the new generation of Irish politicians, and whether this will, the dust will settle. The saying, the dust settling and something beautiful coming out, a diamond out of the rust, even. That's what this could be, or it could just be worse. I'm not sure. This is very I've never seen such two extremes in the political climate before. This could be a week of complete disaster, or we could see genuine change here. I think that's what we're seeing in Labour with Lynn coming in. Although she is an established figure, I do consider her to be new to Irish politics. In terms of Fianna Fáil, it's concerning to see egos butting heads, so to speak. I do hope, if I was Diarmid, that I would clamp down on any dissent like that. Sinn Féin, that's just concerning. I'm going to be honest here, I'm not completely informed on what's going on in Sinn Féin. I will have to look into that. But I think such a close quarters party, this is a culmination of new politicians, Emily Winters, etc. So this can either end good, or this can end very, very bad for Irish politics.
Absolutely. One thing, if the government does fall tonight, if the government does lose this confidence vote, and if they don't win a second, or they don't go for a second attempt at trying to put a government together, could we? Can you guess, or do you have any predictions as to what's going to happen next? Do you think Fianna Fáil's going to go with Sinn Féin somehow if Potato Cure gets removed, or do you think? Is there any combination that could come out of this, or are we going to be heading into an election period?
Well, let's say, for example, the coalition does not work. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are not compatible. Then I hate to be the one to say it, but Fianna Fáil is very limited in its resources and in what it can do. I think it would be bleak for Diarmid, and I think the only thing we would face is a general election, if I'm being honest. But my choices, I would keep them open. If I'm being honest, I know this is going to sound very outlandish and archaic even, but I do think Diarmid and Michael McGrath forming government would generally work, because they are both level-headed, similar people. But obviously, the slander and insults thrown around Dáil Éireann today, that's becoming increasingly unlikely. I'm not sure what else would work. Sinn Féin and Labour are two very diametrically opposed parties to Fianna Fáil, partly due to us, of course, and Fianna Fáil residing in opposition. So again, their resources are limited. Diarmid's hands are tied. I think if this vote of no confidence passes, then I think they have no choice but to head Irelanders back to the polls.
One thing I want to say, and I guess this is more just general commentating rather than questions now, but I'm very interested to see the list of how people voted. I really cannot wait.
Yeah,
and I want that to be published in media. I want it to be put out, because I want to see the list, because we're hearing through the grapevine here, and I'm hearing this information like second-hand or third-hand even, that there's apparently this group of people in Fianna Fáil itself, in Diarmid's own home territory here, because we wouldn't be here theorising all this if everything was okay on the government side, but it's not. We're hearing division in Fine Gael. They don't know what they're gonna do. They're bickering over it. I've got bickering in Fianna Fáil itself. They're in government. They're the leaders in government for the first time, and they're bickering apparently. So I really just want to say that the list of people, and I don't want to go as far as to say they're traitors, they're bloody fools.
I think I would.
They're not. But
impartial RTÉ here, but
yeah. And I know I don't want to go too far with what I'm saying here, but
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I am.
You are. No, in 2020, such a fond memory, by the way. I mean, toxic back then, but such a fond memory. Back when Nicola Clinic was leader of Labour, and he had just become Taoiseach, a coalition had been formed between both him and the Greens. Tom was still running the show behind the scenes, whether you like it or not. And what Tom had done is he had put together a graphic of all the names of TDs who had voted for an early general election, and it said list of traitors above it. So
I remember that, yes.
I do reckon that's something we could witness again should a list be released, you know?
I mean, that was quite kind of a mad period of time, because I remember that also generated a lot of controversy. And I feel like what happens tonight will have the same controversy generated, which is, at what point does it become intimidation rather than criticism? Because I know there was
will be shown tonight.
Yeah,
True
oh,
colours will be
absolutely,
shown.
yeah. I think we are going to be seeing the true colours of certain individuals, and certainly if it is a large group in Tina Fall that ruined Diarmuid here, if they really do just rain on his parade, I mean, I'm going to have some words on my own. Let's just say that much. I think there's going to be a lot of hell. I mean, there's going to be a lot of hell to pay. I think Diarmuid himself is, because obviously we're going to get a statement. We're going to get a statement from him, obviously, later on when the results finally come out, which obviously it's taken bloody ages right now. But we have been told it is coming out soon.
Have we any words on what the results are looking like? Any
no, we do not.
Very under lock and key, I suppose.
But it's looking, if Diarmuid's government is brought down because it's people that he's brought to success, it's people that he has brought into government that backstab him, then I don't know. There's really nothing else I can say, and I'm gonna have to pause you because not pause you, but stop you from talking, because we have just been told by our people at the front office, not the front office, obviously the CC doesn't come in through the front desk and tell us, but we have been told by our team here at RTE and here at Donnybrook that the results are about to be fax machined into us by CFAX. It is about to be sent to us. We are about to get the results. Of course, yeah. Look, man, we don't get much funding, okay? The IDF get all the funding in Garda.
That's true.
Tom Whitaker, he reduced our funding during his 4-month term.
Austerity was wild during unification. Austerity was absolutely crazy.
Our budget got slashed, and we had to basically, when me and Blair fled from the UK, we stole all the BBC equipment, and so we're using CFAX.
We can't print in colour anymore.
Yeah.
Results imminent even.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, we are obviously in communication with so many people here at the studio. We've got we've had to recruit additional staff at Donnybrook to deal with the influx of messages we're getting. Yes.
The deep stage aren't equipped with us at the moment. This is crazy. Yeah.
And by the way, that's not even a joke. That is like me being genuine here. There is a lot of information to broker here.
Since during the broadcast, I've gotten a few, hey, blah, 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 etc., etc. So.
Fair enough. Yeah. But yes, we are hopefully going to get the results very shortly. And I swear to God, if that shortly doesn't mean... I've been told in a minute, but like, it's not going to be a minute, is it? It's not going to be a minute.
Thing. Oh God.
Yeah, I know the news format has kind of deteriorated now, but I genuinely mean it. It's not going to be a minute, is it?
No.
But yes, but yeah, just to try to return to the news format just a little bit, for those who are just tuning in, the government is facing down a no confidence vote right now in the Dáil Éireann. Debate obviously took place just over 51 minutes ago, or just concluded over just about an hour ago. The government is facing supposedly rebellion from within its own benches, hesitation from their coalition partners. Sinn Féin is undergoing a rebellion of its own against their leader. Labour is in a leadership challenge, and the Social Democrats are sitting there wondering what the fuck is going on.
Oh my goodness. Can I make my predictions, actually?
Go ahead. I did just get a statement from someone, but yes, go on.
I think we will see Diarmuid's government survive tonight. That's my prediction. Survive. Maybe not by large margins, but I think we'll see Diarmuid's government survive. Touch wood.
for the sake of balance, I disagree. We have got a statement here. We at RTE have just received a statement from Emily Winters, the TD from Sinn Féin, who is facing expulsion from the Oireachtas Sinn Féin caucus following her show of support for Diarmuid O'Donovan's government. Of course, we have there's the famous image on Saoirse, which shows the moment that she was dismissed, or told that she would be dismissed. Of course, as per the Confidence Act, she can't be dismissed yet, but she will be facing dismissal after this tonight. We have been given a statement from her, and I will read that out now for our viewers, that she has said, "The scrutiny I have faced within the past hour from my own party leader, and how my fellow TD was also threatened with being sacked, I can no longer say that Sinn Féin is my party anymore. If this is what bipartisanship is, then there is no reason for me to be part of this party." That is their final statement for us today. They have wished us a good day. And that is Emily Winters, the ringleader of Sinn Féin, saying that Sinn Féin is essentially no longer her party anymore. Certainly, that's just,
wow.
I mean, it's sad. I'm just going to say that's sad.
I have to be honest, I do love Emily, but I think, again, this is the culmination of the new generation of politicians where they struggle to grapple with authority and discipline from their leaders. I think ultimately we are better off when we accept it at face value. We should accept the authority. We should just bend underneath it. I suppose whether you like it or not, it's better to work within the establishment than against it. And that's my opinion on things. But I'm sure she had her reasons, etc., etc., etc.
I mean, I must say, she stood up this evening. She said, "I think this government's all right. They have my support." She sat back down, and again, there's that famous picture on Saoirse, which quite literally shows the moment.
Emily, you've had your whip removed, quote unquote.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, quite literally, just being bluntly told by the leader in front of her, basically F off. And that is, I mean, there's just something depressing about that, isn't it?
I think it's a necessary evil, though. I feel like, I don't know, would it have been better off if Taoiseach actually said, "We'll keep you on"? I don't know what that.
I think you keep your silence until after the session, don't you?
Oh, well, it depends on how stoically you are. I would not.
We've just had. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have just had another comment here from the leader of Fine Gael and the Taoiseach of Ireland, James Aitken, who has given us a comment right now saying that Fine Gael has had a free vote due to the passion felt. We believe in free choice and freedom of expression. Personally, I can confirm I voted to support Diarmuid. I cannot comment on my fellow TDs. That is confirmation that Fine Gael have not introduced a solid whip for their TDs. They have free voted on the motion of no confidence. That is, of course, Fine Gael, the coalition partner of Fianna Fáil in this government, that is being put to the test tonight. Certainly that, I mean, that's got to be it, surely.
Well, I'm sorry, my prediction doesn't change, okay? I do think Diarmuid will retain confidence of the Dáil.
He would not be free voting unless the other caucus members wanted out.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, really, how many seats does Fine Gael have? 3? 2?
I'm not
sure. I don't think it's damning. I don't think it's damning. I feel like,
even if 2 of them vote against the government and James votes for it, then, it's...
I know, no, it's awful.
It's
what
over.
I will say is, I don't think it's over for Diarmuid in terms of losing confidence. But if he does retain confidence, I think it's over. I think this is a nail in the coffin for how we're going to reflect on his legacy. It's going to be a divided history. We're going to look back on this as a dark period for Diarmuid and his party, not because of his policy in government, but simply because of the rhetoric of his coalition partner.
Mm-hmm. We are, of course, entering nearly the hour mark of voting here.
Oh my goodness.
Very, very long. We were informed it would take a little bit shorter than this, but Jesus Christ, I guess it really takes a long time to count votes. Of course, we will try and bring the statement from the Taoiseach after the vote is given. This is, of course, a very long broadcast, and we can only apologise to our viewers, but it's our job as the public broadcaster. It is our job to record as much as we can, bring as much coverage and analysis, and that's what we're doing. And if you don't like that, then why don't you just go and run off the British Sovereign's UK, where their BBC doesn't even function?
That's
How about
true.
that? How
That's
about that?
No, I don't apologize. This is more content for you. Everyone loves RT. You've just had an hour of it.
That is
You know?
true. But anyway, getting back to our subject at hand, though, we are now nearing an hour of voting here, and we were told that it would be releasing in a minute, but we were told that many minutes ago. So we are, of course, waiting to hear back on this vote. Of course, the vote probably has to be double checked and triple checked and quadruple checked, and of course, that is absolutely vital to make sure that the votes are right, because this is, as Connor put it, these kind of votes can really destroy people. This
It
kind of
can.
situation can absolutely,
can.
as you mentioned earlier, Killian, it brings out the worst of people and it brings out the
does.
true colours.
It does. It absolutely does. I mean, I know that politics is very divisive in Ireland, and that can only be blamed for our passion and our love for this country. But no matter what happens tonight, I do send my condolences to Diarmuid. And for those traitors who have decided to betray Diarmuid and his government, all I can say is we will find you.
Just remember, guys, Tom basically runs Garda, like, on behalf of Valorous. So, like,
That's not
you're
okay.
doomed.
Yeah.
You're doomed.
It's over for you. This is not ominous.
Yeah.
This is very much clear and transparent. We are coming
The
after you.
the armed support unit is en route.
Lock your doors.
We're
laughing,
that won't
but
save you.
We're laughing, but this is real. Lock your doors.
Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, it is certainly. It's just not. It's not looking good to me, Killian. It really is not looking good to me. This.
I don't know. I think. Now, can I tell you? I don't know.
If your coalition partner is hesitant, how can you survive?
But listen. I think Fine Gael is a very ugly duckling, grey duckling. In this respect, it's very different. It's been very divisive. James is tolerant and open to his caucus, which I disagree with. But obviously, he is open. What I will say is, my contacts are telling me that Sinn Féin voted to support the government.
If that saves them, I am going to be shocked.
I'm telling you, if that saves them, then I want to say that this is shown. By the way, my contacts are saying that all 3 TDs from Sinn Féin voted in support. So that includes the leader. So what I want to say is that if it's the case where Sinn Féin has brought, Diarmuid back into government and retained confidence, then I think what we could see is a Sinn Féin Fianna Fáil coalition. That would be plausible. I'm not sure how Potato Cure or whoever is ousted, I suppose. I'm not sure how Potato Cure would work in a coalition, but I really am hoping that Diarmuid retains confidence. 4 seats, even. Sorry, I'm told that.
Yes, it's 4 seats.
4 seats, Sinn Féin, and
we were told earlier that Eamon, Anglo, and Emily, that of course being a Miracle or whatever, that they have all supported the government. So that would tip the scales in favour of the government if Fianna Fáil don't somehow shoot themselves.
Even if Fine Gael, their 2 TDs vote against the government they're in, Sinn Féin would still be enough to keep Diarmuid in government, and we could see a plausible Sinn Féin Fianna Fáil coalition from that, which would be peculiar, to say the least.
We have now reached the hour mark of voting, and yet again, I have been blanked by the Can Comler, who has not told me at all an update on this. For Dean's
mental
sake.
Dexterity is on live decline. You're witnessing it, folks.
Yeah, please record the Dáil sitting, please.
It'll be fun,
activity.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but no, returning to our news format, of course, the government is still facing a vote of no confidence. We are now entering again the hour mark now. I think no one is more scared of what could happen tonight than, of course, the Taoiseach himself, Diarmuid, who again is clinging on for survival here, and it all comes down to how if Fine Gael have mercy, if Sinn Féin somehow come in with a clutch here, or if
that would be cool. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, there will be a lot of analysis. There will be a lot of analysis.
There will be
a lot of analysis.
I would get in contact immediately with Potato Cure if that happened, because I want to know how him and his TDs went through that. They, I said they were a close quarters party, so it's amazing that their spotlight is on this. I would also just like to give RT the update that Dylan Hello 20 and his leadership team, have been falsifying screenshots against their opponents. That's real. That's an exclusive for RTE. They are falsifying screenshots of their opponents using some very mean words, I will say.
Are they the kind of words that I use in VC?
They're the exact words you use in VC.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll go a bit more into the Labour leadership election later.
We have imminent
Once
results
again,
soon.
we are waiting. Nearly used an expletive there. We are waiting for again the results to be handed to us here at RTE. For all we know, the results might have come out and they just haven't been sent over to us, which is entirely possible, by the way. Oh wow, that is actually.
Yeah. I've just handed Dean a printed fax of what the falsified messages from Dylan Hello's 20s team are releasing. It's really quite extraordinary what we're seeing in Irish politics right now. I'm hoping this is a concise moment in Irish politics.
Once again, we are still waiting here. Okay, so we have actually been given an update here by the Cian Comla and the on behalf of Oireachtas staff, and she has told us that she would like to apologise for the delay. It's been quite a confusing vote with multiple TDs flip-flopping, which was not tolerated by myself or Oireachtas staff. Now, I mean, flip-flopping, does that mean we've potentially had a few influenced ballots here?
I think I know what's happening here. Personally, I can say from experience, Conor Novak is not going to be pleased with this if what I think is happening is happening.
I think I know exactly what you mean.
They have a tendency to troll the vote for quite some time and change their votes to delay it and make it go on for a longer period of time. And if that's happening, then I sincerely hope they lose their jobs, because that's shameful, if I'm being frank and honest.
Once again, by the way, while we won't have the time to put a graphic on with all the votes and stuff, because we can't work that fast, we will, of course, try go through as many names as possible once the vote does release. And I will also just say that, in general, if TDs are found to have done such stuff, all I can say is on behalf of not just myself, but also I guess everyone who's sort of worked with me, Blair included, when we ran UK Labour and stuff in Sovs UK. Don't do stuff like that. That's a dick move. Like that. Don't people do get stressed over this stuff. People do put passion into this community. Diarmuid is a shining example of passion. He has put in so much work personally as a Taoiseach. Like, you can say what you want about he hasn't done this and that. I don't care. He puts passion into the things that he has done. And in my opinion, that is beautiful. Like, some of the government posts I've seen this term, they're eye candy. I would have loved that during my government.
Absolutely. I mean, where were you, Blair? Blair, where were you when we
to be fair, Blair did make some of the graphics for us, but it's because I don't like to overwork Blair like I am right now. I'm so sorry, Blair.
It's slave labor, really. But what I have to say is, as someone who runs the National Union of Journalists, I have sit on the union negotiating table opposite Diarmuid and his government, and I'm going to be honest. I reserve my opinions about Diarmuid and his government. We are politically, opposed in every way. But, and this is what I said to him, by the way, on his birthday, by the way, Diarmuid, you'll understand this reference. I said, we are diametrically opposed in every way, but his integrity is in the right place, and that's something you have to respect. He's passionate about what he does, and for that, I don't think he deserves these knives in the back.
I'm annoyed at the fact that this has been delayed because of flip-flopping. They would not delay the vote. Usually confidence votes are pretty quick, usually.
Yeah.
But they're quickening this. It's the only reason that we're still sitting here right now talking is because, again, we've just been told TDs have been flip-flopping. They've potentially had their ballots influenced by external people who have told them, do this, do that.
They've had their whip removed.
Yeah, or that even. Yeah, Potato Cure and his actions tonight. Absolute... I mean, it's a travesty. Again, if I want to see the list of people who have voted the way they have, I want to see the list, because I seriously there'll be so much for me to say to certain people after tonight. There really will be.
O'Neill is in Orson Uachtaráin right now, just thinking and sitting to himself, what on earth is going on in Dáil Éireann tonight? I mean, I've never seen the Dáil in such shambles. I mean, I've faced many confidence votes. In fact, I'm the reason Victoria E. Wright remained Taoiseach. Let's put that out there. Credit to me. I joined Sinn Féin and voted for her government. But no, I've never seen one like this. Every party is divided. Every party is not very stoical at the moment. I mean, they are We are facing
All right,
imminent changes,
we
you know?
hold on a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Killian. We are receiving word now from our contact, obviously, at Leinster House, obviously, literally the Cian Comla, who is in charge of releasing these results and in charge of the process, obviously in tandem with the deep state, Oireachtas staff. But we are being... Oh, and no, it was a fake. It was...
Oh my God, Kira!
Kira!
Kira, I will... One moment, I will go message Kira a few times.
Ladies and
Sorry.
gentlemen, for those who wonder why we don't broadcast Oireachtas sessions every weekend, this is why. This is why. And also because we can't do every weekend and it's tiring. Like, trust me, we did it for the UK. It was fun, but we were tired.
Yeah,
We can only do it for so long. We
I
can
can't
really
relate.
only do it for so long.
You know I'll never shut up.
We have been told, though, that apparently the president and Kira are on the verge of offing themselves, to not use the actual term, mostly probably because of all the bollocks that's been going on behind the scenes. And truly, I want to be told what's happened. Like, I want to be told a bit more than this. I feel like we're being like kind of hung out to dry here, and it's like we're being hung out to dry. Tell us what's going on so we can actually like. I'm not saying tell us who's responsible. I'm just tell us like what does flip-flopping actually mean? Because we can only insinuate that it means, oh, someone's clearly tried budging into this process and gone, oh, vote this way, vote that way to all the TDs.
Absolutely. I think there could be interference there because don't forget this is a very contentious part of Irish politics. When votes of no confidence happen, even people from all sides of the spectrum they get involved and they try to manufacture a result. For example, there is one person I will not name who is obviously very highly invested in this process, and there's obviously a desired outcome.
So we have been told. I'm not going to say who this is from because I want to protect identities now. But we have been told by a member of the Oireachtas that Sinn Féin is responsible. That's all I know. So I feel like this is definitely along the lines of what we've been hearing tonight from Sinn Féin, whereby obviously their members, I think, want to express confidence, but I think their leader was trying to threaten them. We had reports that from 2 of their 4 members, obviously minus 1 because, the leader, that they've apparently been threatened. So, 66% of the caucus has been threatened by the leader, according to them.
I respect that. I think, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but this is a culmination of the new generation of politicians. They either need to get in line or get out. I mean, I think when your voice is suppressed, that's something you express in private, not in the lobby rooms, not in the kneel and tall lobbies. So that's my version of events. I feel like you're under the whip, and as much as you may want to think of yourself as some elected official with constituents to serve, at the end of the day, your party is the reason you are there. So I think you owe it to them to follow their direction.
Yeah, we are, again, I mean, obviously Potato Cure, and I will repeat what he said earlier, and he's obviously sent it to me again, because, again, we must represent both sides here. He has said that he hasn't threatened anyone, and he stands by that he hasn't threatened anyone. But we have obviously heard, again, the other side, that he has threatened someone, and that the TDs that he's spoken to have said that he's threatened them. And at the end of the day, this is row politics. That's all. I feel like that's the only line I can conjure here. Yeah. This is row politics.
Can I just say though, this is a moment that people should remember and love and cherish. Right? We are literally this is shambles. And as much as this may be a complete, I won't say it on RTÉ. As much as this may be a mess at face value, this is the rough and tumble. This is the fun. And I'm sure if Conor Novak was here, he would come on and he would tell you this is what makes row politics fun. The rough and tumble, the he said, she said, this is what I live for personally. So enjoy it while you can, I guess.
Of course, Conor is online right now, and if we can insinuate anything from what's happened tonight, he is absolutely currently having a go at party leaders, probably, or having a go at TDs or someone. He's probably going to prepare an announcement after this. That's not me obviously demeaning what Conor does. Conor's a great community mod, and he does what he does because he loves us.
That goes without saying.
Yeah, but no confidence votes. I mean, it comes back to something we've said 3 times now. It brings out the worst in people, and we really are seeing that, in front of us right now.
I'm sorry, I just can't wait for the list. Oh my god, I'm nearly gonna die for it. Like,
I have just been notified actually, and I believe we might be about to get the results. Please give me the bloody results.
I can hear Blair
Right,
saying,
we have actually got the results here. I would just like to say that we have got the results. We can now say here at the NewsNow studio in Donnybrook that the government, the Taoiseach has lost the confidence of the Dáil Éireann. 10 TDs said that they were confident. 6 said they were not, with 9 people, 9 TDs abstaining. We do have
the
the
results.
full
Has he
list
lost
given
or
to us.
has he lost or retained confidence? Sorry,
He has lost it. The government has lost the confidence of the Dáil Éireann. We do have the full list here of people who have voted. I will go through that now. I can confirm. I will, of course, bring this list over to our good friends over at the studio so that they can display as much of it as they can. I will, however, read through it in order to obviously fill time. But we do have here that Fianna Fáil, that they all vote, pretty much all, bar 2 who clearly did not vote at all, have voted in favour of the government. All of the Social Democrats voted against. Potato Cure and Eamon McGrath voted against the government, which is a bit shocking because we were told that Eamon was going to vote confident, but I guess he changed his mind. Or was he threatened? More later. I'm kidding. We're not insinuating that, but reports and all. Anglo Facilia and Mira voted. Or Mira Kozlov. Wait, what? Mira? That's Miracal. That's meant to say Miracal. That's meant to say Miracal, whatever. Not
that's meant to be Emily Winters.
Yeah, she voted
goodness.
confident. Fine Gael. Now this one is really interesting. James, confident. Carl Emil Mannerheim, abstain. Kenny, what the hell does the white box mean? What does the white box mean?
I think we can just safely assume he abstained as well, just for now.
Abstain, yeah. It does say that majority not reached. Fine Gael abstains, meaning that his vote would be counted as an abstention. And the Labour Party, Dylan Hello, not confident. Kamla, confident. Now, I would just like to go over a few things before we go into analysis here. Number 1, because we need to buy time anyway for Diarmuid. Number 1, there was not a rebellion in Fianna Fáil. That means we were worrying over nothing. He is okay. The party loved Diarmuid. Hooray for him. But not so hooray because he has not retained the confidence of the chamber. He's not retained it. He's not retained it. I believe the numbers have been muddied up a little bit here because, I mean, hold on, 1, 2, 3. That's much more than. I mean, actually, no, I'm looking at the tally. Sorry, I'm looking at the tally here, not the actual full thing. We're going by party.
This is a lot to. So we can safely assume Kenny did not vote. He didn't choose to abstain.
Just to go over it all, it should be said that basically 3 parties abstained because of the way that the voting system works. 3 parties abstained. Social Democrats, all nil, all against the government, and obviously the Fianna Fáil all supporting the government.
It is worth saying that Kamla P. Besessar from Labour did vote to keep Diarmuid O'Donovan in office. I presume that was out of preference for the Dáil term to continue as opposed to a general election or whatever we will face next. That's an interesting result too. There's a lot to take away from this list. I'm not going to lie. There's an awful lot to analyze. We'd be here for quite some time.
There is an awful lot to go over there.
Crazy. I mean, I don't think this is I think we should display. Well, not we. I'll say on behalf of myself. I do think it is an utter shame. We have seen that Diarmuid has not retained the confidence of Dáil Éireann. it is unfortunate that result has been proposed by Dáil Éireann, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. We will hopefully be getting a video message from the Taoiseach following this result. It will probably have been recorded at the government buildings. We will, of course, wait for him to obviously send that to us so we can broadcast it. But that will probably take a bit of time. We, of course, do not know when he will be ready to send that to us. And obviously, one thing that must be noted is that, give the guy a break. His government is, on the ropes here. Come on, give the guy give him 5 minutes, guys.
News from the Dorothy Roblox: O'Donovan executed. That's the headline.
I like how the Dorothy's back.
Yeah, that's lovely. They did have some headlines earlier. If I locate them, it was actually rather comedic, if I'm being honest. Oh yes, former President Björk in scandal after building statue honoring 1940s German salute. Wow, some fantastic headlines there.
Some great headlines, some wonderful headlines there.
Welcome to Ireland.
This is certainly quite a shocking turn of events here, and I want to analyse real quick the ballots there from Fine Gael. Now, I don't like to be annoyed at things. I really don't. I try and restrain myself sometimes. But can I just say,
you do like
why be a coalition? Yeah, I do. You know that. Why be a coalition partner if you're going to act like that? If you're going to vote like that?
Here.
Why?
Here.
Why? What's the point? I
mean,
remember I sat in opposition as Sinn Féin leader for a bit. This is before we did the coalition killing. I remember when that vote of no confidence got tabled. I supported the government, and I said at the time, there's 3 weeks left, who cares? I'll tell you why I supported the government. I didn't want another bloody election.
Absolutely. I remember you saying we're not equipped to deal with an election right now. Let's end the term.
Yeah. I wanted the extra 2 weeks of prep.
I do like James Akeson, and it obviously shows his personal opinions in that he deferenced to support the government with his vote. But I think he has abdicated his responsibility as a coalition partner by tolerating dissent on this one issue. On any other issue, I think it would be acceptable to have discussions within your party. But when it comes to the confidence of the government that you signed up for on the programme for government, I think this is a failure on behalf of Fine Gael to carry out their duties in government. This is upsetting to hear from Fine Gael.
I'm just absolutely. I'm flabbergasted.
As am I. I'm wrong. I was wrong, Dean. The bookies were with me. I was on track to be correct, but he did not.
I love James Akeson. I love that man, but he has a lot to answer for. He has a lot to answer for after that.
He does. I can only imagine the DMs between him and Dermot. I mean,
I just think, why enter a coalition if you're not going to support that government? I'm sorry, we had disagreements, Killian, but my God, if anyone was going to criticise that government, I would die for it.
Absolutely. Like, I criticise you criticise me, but that's allowed. That's okay.
We're only allowed to do that in private, and we kept it in private, didn't we?
Yeah.
We kept that in private.
I don't think it ever culminated in public, unless maybe when we were deciding seats and I screamed at Eamon in Dáil Éireann. That probably.
Yeah. I find it so infuriating that a coalition partner can't be faithful. Just come on. What is it with not recent coalitions, but what is it with coalitions and just with the junior partner not being faithful? Like, why do you go through all of that negotiating? Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sorry, but Kira, I name drop Kira there. Why? Just why go through all that? Why?
Genuinely, I think this is a failure on behalf of Fine Gael, by my own regards, obviously not RTÉ's, but I think going into
do you want to know what annoys me the most? They're not going to be punished at the polls, are they? They're not going to get punished at the polls.
No, he will do his little LGBTQ plus poster, vote Fine Gael, and they'll love it. That sounded so humble.
Exactly, yeah. Not everyone will forget after this.
Yeah, because James is class, so he gets away with it. It's okay. I don't know. I think this is a shocking result, and the fact that they actually had so many votes on their side. I believe they had the most votes. He had 10 votes from Dáil Éireann in confidence, and it just wasn't enough. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, you need an outright majority.
Just heartbreaking.
Just an absolute travesty of a vote.
I will say
seriously,
I don't know. I know people tend to give props now. People are going to do that. They're going to say, well done, Desmond. Well done, Fianna Fáil, for not ousting your leader. I don't think this is out of love for Dermot. I think this is self-interest. I think this is self-preservation. they don't want to head to the polls again because they're part of Fianna Fáil. This is still, whether they like Diarmuid or not, this is still their government. So I don't think it's love for them.
I think when you go into a coalition, you either go all the way, or you don't do the coalition at all. Like you go all the way, you fight for that government, unless there's truly a make or break moment. I don't know, like you get literally cussed out of a room, or you're literally treated like a piece of garbage by your partner.
Happened, by the way.
Yeah, it does happen, but unless that happens, why do this? Why go? Oh, we're a little bit hesitant. There's a few members that don't really want to do. There's a few that do. It's like pick.
If Victoria, you're right, is listening in. She calls Potato Cure many swear words, and he still didn't pull out. So respect for Potato Cure, and in both to his face and in private. So well done, Potato Cure.
Yeah, we are once again waiting for the Taoiseach to be ready. It is now entering again. Like it's heading towards 10:30 now.
I can only assume this is what I did. I'm not sure about other people. I always had 2 statements drafted. One, if my vote was lost. One, if it succeeded.
I believe he did the same. I think he does have, but
yeah. So he should be on imminently. I'm supposing. I'm not sure.
We have absolutely no idea. We will go to it very soon. He is, of course, I believe, still preparing. But again, we are very much waiting here. And moving the subject on from Fine Gael, because I know we just spent a good 5 minutes there just lambasting Fine Gael.
Sorry, James.
Yeah, and I do apologise to James, but like moving on, I'll be quiet on that now. I'm moving on. Sinn Féin. Interesting sequence of events there, really. Eamon, we were told. The Potato Cure did say that Eamon was going to vote confident. I guess he managed to, persuade him and get him in line with the whip. Fair enough. That's what leaders do. But that's 2 dissenting members. It was enough to force Sinn Féin into an abstention, and but it wasn't enough. It didn't save the government. It just was not enough in the end.
I think this is an utter shame. This is I don't know. I think, personally, deep inside, my conscience is telling me that this is a very funny and memey moment in Irish politics. This is something that people will look back on fondly in many years, and Diarmuid will look back on this and laugh. But this is also, at the same time, a very dark period in Irish politics, It is a shame that we have had a Taoiseach ousted again. I'm not sure why this is not me, like, becoming vengeful, by the way, about what happened to me, but this seems to become a running theme. We did have a period of stability, but Ireland does tend to leach towards the toxic side, I suppose, when it comes to these votes of no confidence. It is not a shame.
I'm very happy that the rumours about a rebellion in Fianna Fáil turned out to be just, to be false. I'm very glad that...
I'm not satisfied,
I'm very glad that Desmond, because I know that obviously disagreements in government happen. There's no doubt about that. Desmond can disagree with Diarmuid.
It's questionable. Like, why would you go out in public and say the Taoiseach was wrong to U-turn? And then when it comes to a vote of no confidence, be like, actually, I'm going to keep my reservations private. I'm not shaming him. Well done for learning from your mistakes. But, where was this attitude a few months ago, I suppose?
I feel like one thing that needs to be learned from this whole sequence of events, and from this government and from the last few governments, when you're a minister, just stay in line. Yeah. Stay in line. Stop stepping out of line. Stop trying to be the rebel kid in every... Stop trying to be the rebel kid in every single sitcom. Like, for God's sake.
Can I just say, this actually is very reminiscent of my vote of no confidence when my chief of staff at the time, Tom, was talking to my TDs, and he said, why would you do this? Why would you stand up and break collective responsibility? And they said, well, I don't know, it felt kind of Slay making history. And Tom said, no, it is not Slay collapsing. It is not Slay collapsing a P5 nation government. Well done. And he's right. He was right, by the way. It is not Slay collapsing a government. I'm sorry.
It's just, it really is. I mean, first of all,
list, like, your 5 seconds of fame is over. So well done,
Yeah. At the end of the day, are we really going to remember a lot of these rebels? No. We're going to forget about it.
If we do, it's for bad reasons, by the way. If we do.
Yeah. Like, we're not, like, trust me, if we continue to mention people who backstabbed a government, like, it's not because we're happy, it's because we think you did a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is a lot of negative analysis from this list of people. But I think, I don't know, personally, I'm a very realistic, grounded, and pessimistic person. I'm not able to take the positives from this. Dean, can you find any positives in this list of votes?
No, not really. I mean, I can think of some good outcomes from this. Not outcomes, but some good things to interpret.
Pamela
One,
didn't vote for an election. Yeah.
Fianna Fáil did not do what I was really worried they were going to do and backstab the man who got them here. They didn't do that, and I'm very happy that, despite, any disagreements within that party, they rallied behind Diarmuid. I love that. I'm so happy to have seen that on the list there. Another thing I'm happy about, and this is mostly just talking about, I guess, the unity within the two opposing parties here. The Social Democrats, at least they actually, lived up to the name of opposition here and all voted against the government. At least they didn't hire TDs that were just going to go oh, nah, sorry, I love the government now, despite sitting opposite them.
I love how I've been tagged by Facilio despite him being too afraid to come on the broadcast. Thank you, Facilio.
Facilio, if you would like to come on our broadcast and buy some time, please do.
I have invited him 3 times, by the way.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. We will again hopefully have the Taoiseach here soon, or not here, but his recorded message for us. We refer to it as a recorded message, but it's a message, his statement to us, and to the entire nation. Again, taking a bit of time because I'm going to give him a bit of leeway. I imagine he's in a little bit of when you lose these kind of votes, you feel a bit you feel shit, don't you? You feel a bit shit.
I don't know about other people. I don't know about you, Dean. I'm a very emotional person, and my TDs really, it's a very awkward part of your they stab, when it's they throw it all away, it's kind of over type of thing. It was difficult. I mean, you could tell the sensitivity was in my statement when I quoted Lana Del Rey, so that was upsetting. That was upsetting for everyone, I suppose. Yeah, my heart goes out to Diarmuid.
Lovely stuff. We are again just going to probably make a few preparations for the Taoiseach to hopefully be with us very, very soon, or not be with us in
I think
person,
you should
but
shave.
obviously.
I think you should shave before he gets here. I mean, we need to step up.
What did you just say to me?
I said I think you should shave in anticipation of his arrival. We better clean up. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a chance to take back that statement.
I think the beard is fashionable, I think, in today's society. I think you should keep it. And I apologize.
I will say we won't do any analysis after the statement, by the way, because it's getting really late. So with that in mind, while we've got sort of a few minutes to spare here before we go straight to the statement from the Taoiseach and his message, I want to ask you this, Killian. What happens now? What happens now? Because obviously you had the bookies on your side, but that went well, didn't it?
He was going to stay, guys.
What happens now?
Oh my God. There is a small chance that Diarmuid reaches out. I'm not sure. I think this is still the prerogative, but he does have a chance to form another government. I think if there was another government to be formed, he should reach out to Sinn Féin. This is a message straight to the Taoiseach and our listeners. You should reach out to Sinn Féin, reach across the aisle, see if a stable government can be formed. I think Potato Care is interested in that. And if he gets his backbenchers in line, then I'm sure Sinn Féin will be interested too. But if it is the case that Irelanders head to the polls, then I think we need to listen to parties' messages and see where we go from here. Because although an election would be divisive, we need to see where this goes. I think we need to listen to all messages across the spectrum.
We will quickly do another. I'm going to do another ping in the Island server because I'm allowed to ping multiple times for streams. Connor said so. So. So we are going to do another thing just so we can sort of rally people to the thing.
Yeah.
We we do have the statement being, I think, rushed over actually to our studio, or rather, I imagine
Yeah.
that it can't run on CFAX, so I think we just have to.
The tape is
It
on its
has to
way.
actually be physically. Yeah, it has to be
Yeah.
physically brought to us from the
Yeah,
government
the tape is on
buildings
its way.
over in the centre of Dublin.
Tony Blair has had to leave the cameras and put on his joggers to run between buildings. He has the tape in his hands and is imminently running towards the RTÉ headquarters with it in its hands, you know?
That's his
Awful.
exercise for the year. I'm so sorry, by the way, there, Blair. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm
bless him.
I'm sorry, but yes, we do have the obviously video recording from the Taoiseach being taken to us right now. Once again, it is a pre-recorded statement being transported straight to us. Imminently, we'll be hearing what the Taoiseach has to say following the loss of confidence from the Dáil in his government. Again, the statement from the Taoiseach will be broadcast very, very shortly. One thing that must be noted as we go into this portion of our broadcast, there will be no analysis following this.
Also,
We
it would
will
just be
go straight
rude.
to closing remarks.
I feel like it
What
would be
was that?
disrespectful if we just kind of like went straight from his remarks to going, yeah, so we think it's over for him. You know what I mean? I think that would be kind of.
We're not going to say anything like that, though, are we?
Yeah. No, but still, I feel like if we went straight from his speech to an analysis. So.
Yes, we do. We do have the statement that's about to be, I believe, it'll be given to us. The statement will take place. Yeah, still being rushed. We're being told again by our team. It's a VHS. My God. Oh,
RTE
ladies
is,
and gentlemen, we are ancient.
folks. If you're from Ireland, you'll know that we're basically in a reeling of the years episode where this is just the 1980s and everything is stuck in the 1980s. This is wild, very awful.
Absolutely.
The statement
Right.
is I believe. Yeah. No. Okay.
Again, it's still being rushed. It is in a car right now, heading for Donnybrook.
Okay.
He's no longer running. Again, yes, it is being transported straight to us, and we will bring it to you as soon as we can. The statement from the Taoiseach following the loss of confidence in his government from the Dáil
There is
Éireann.
a slow runner. We do apologise for the delay with the tape.
Yes, we do apologise. Again, we will bring that as soon as we get it here at our studio in Donnybrook. Obviously, it's in Dublin with the government buildings, so it means it's a long walk, but he'll get here. It'll get here.
I do encourage Dermot to take the stress off, and as Lana Del Rey once said, let the light in. I'm going to see how many of those I can fit in between this and the statement, by the way. Let the light in, Dermot. That's a Lana Del Rey quote too. You're in for a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. So we have just received, I believe, the video recording from the Taoiseach, his statement following the no confidence vote and the loss of confidence in his government. We will be broadcasting that statement just now. There will be no commentary for this portion of the broadcast. As soon as the broadcast is over, we will bring our overall coverage of tonight's events to a close. We will now bring you the statement from the Taoiseach of Ireland's Diarmuid O'Donovan, leader of Fianna Fáil, following the loss of confidence in his government from the Dáil Éireann.
Good evening. I'm deeply upset to see that the Dáil has lost confidence in me as Taoiseach, despite my unwavering dedication to national service. In the coming days, I will attempt to work with Fine Gael to unite this coalition once more and provide sufficient reason for a revote. I'd like to personally thank those within the party and across the aisle for their dedication, and those across the aisle for expressing their beliefs, even if it costs them as much as their jobs. I have high hopes that Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael will speak confidently in the coming days and conclude with confidence a solution to solidify a revote and confirm this government's strength and unity. This week, I was proud to reflect on 10 months as leader of Fianna Fáil, a title which I am honoured to hold and to which I believe I've delivered well with when serving in such portfolio. Today, however, I recognise the need for change. This is a decision which I have had much consultation with various colleagues within the party. And so it is not with regret, but with content that I announce that I will not be seeking re-election as Taoiseach and thus will be stepping down as leader of Fianna Fáil. Assuming we continue until the end of the term, I understand that this is earlier than normally anticipated, but I have done so in the view that the new leader of Fianna Fáil deserves time to prepare for the upcoming election. In my view, the biggest issue that an incoming party leader will face is the lack of time, and that is not a burden which I wish to impose on my successor. Of course, I will remain Taoiseach should a revote occur, which secures our victory, which I am too honoured to hold, and which I have served with dignity. Next Sunday at 9 p.m, or sooner, should a revote not occur, the next leader of the party will be announced, giving them 2 weeks to prepare for the next election. I think it is best that we reflect on what happened tonight. I'm deeply saddened to have lost the confidence of the Dáil, and I'm deeply saddened that the opposition and I haven't had a closer relationship, a relationship which I wish to improve in the coming weeks. As leader of Fianna Fáil, we have come a great distance. I'd like to thank the dozens of people who placed their trust in the Fianna Fáil, in Fianna Fáil to lead last election, an election which resulted in Fianna Fáil winning the most seats it's ever won. So far, we've delivered on much of what we set out to do, and though there are still policies left incomplete, I find comfort in the fact that many policies have been started, but not yet completed. We've brought life back into Irish culture. We've reactivated the Press Council and the Garda Representative Association. We've transformed our diplomatic possibilities with memorandums of understanding. We've made Irish citizens more knowledgeable of our statute through the Layman's Guide to Engage Crime. We've created new graphic material for our defence forces. We've hosted deployments with the United Nations peacekeeping, in which I must offer great thanks and credit, the majority of which goes to the leadership of Dáil Éireann. And we've made Forest na Gaelic weekly activities and so much more. We've got so much done, and I'm sure that we will continue to get the job done. And I urge you all those who voted for Fianna Fáil last election to stick with your ballot in 3 weeks' time or sooner. And to those who didn't vote Fianna Fáil, to consider us. I'll be personally remaining very much close to Fianna Fáil, and it is my intention to remain as a Taoiseach Dála should my successor choose to entertain that prospect after the next election. I'm so proud to have been able to lead us through so much, but it's not over yet. We will continue leading this nation until the very last minute, but sadly, I will not be the one to take Fianna Fáil into the next general election, and I wish my successor the best of luck on their endeavours throughout the campaign period. The first Fianna Fáil Taoiseach, but certainly not the last. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
that marks the end of tonight's RTE coverage of the motion of no confidence in Diarmuid O'Donovan's coalition government. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Until next time, I wish you all a good evening and bid you all farewell. Take care.